Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that it's a political issue. No, it's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that it's a political issue. No, it's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that it's a political issue. No, it's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that, it's a political issue, no. It's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that, it's a political issue, no. It's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that, it's a political issue, no. It's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that, it's a political issue. No, it's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that, it's a political issue. No, it's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that, it's a political issue, no. It's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that, it's a political issue, no. It's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that, it's a political issue, no. It's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points. Across the world, women in politics face sexism, harassment, and gender-based violence, both online and offline. And women's and girls' rights are regressing in some countries.
It's something that, it's a political issue, no. It's something related to the values that we should have as a human being.
La desigualdad de roles entre hombres y mujeres limita el ejercicio de los derechos de las mujeres.
However, change is coming. Across the world, leaders are turning commitments into change. Parity is being promoted. Parliaments are becoming more gender sensitive.
Opportunities to combine family life and with official duties. It's been important in the Parliament for quite a while now.
Zero tolerance for violence against women is advancing. Laws and policies are empowering women and girls. That last piece? It's yours. Join the campaign. Visit the website and find out how you can achieve gender equality in your parliament. Action by action. Gender equality isn't just a concept. It's about action. Every change starts somewhere, with a voice, an election, a law.
If you want to make lasting, true impact in your community, you cannot avoid politics.
Change comes piece by piece, action by action. Today, only some 27% of MPs globally are women. Progress has stalled. In 2024, global representation increased by just 0.3 percentage points.
Dear members, please take your seat. We're going to start.
Dear colleagues, I am very pleased to welcome you back for a productive afternoon session of our forum. I am chairing this as a member of Women Parliamentarians. We will start with a panel discussion on transforming leadership, overcoming new challenges to gender equality. This topic is of utmost importance and was chosen by Bureau of Women Parliamentarians to highlight leadership journeys, experience in power, and lessons learned as barriers to gender equality persist and new challenges emerge. To inform our debates, I am honored to introduce our panelists. Mrs. Sarah Amadila, former Prime Minister of Namibia, current Speaker of National Assembly of Namibia. Ms. Claudia Roth, Member of Parliament of Germany, former Vice President of German Bundestag and Federal Commissioner. We are very pleased to have you with us today. Thank you for accepting our invitation. I'm sorry, I missed one person. Mrs. Amanda, she's here? Oh, okay. Mrs. Amanda Ellis, former Deputy Secretary for International Development and UN Ambassador of New Zealand, current lead of Global Partnership and Strategic Initiative for the Arizona State University. We are very pleased to have you with us today. Thank you for accepting our invitation to share your leadership journey, how you support other women in leadership, and your views on what helps and what hinders women's leadership today. Mrs. Sarah Amadila, I am pleased to give you the floor.
Thank you very much.
Is it okay?
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, members of the panel, distinguished speakers, and colleagues, members of Parliament present here. It is a privilege for me to join you today in reflecting on the evolving nature of leadership and the persistent challenges that continue to shape women's participation in public life. Firstly, it is important to note that leadership exists in all of us, even when we do not hold formal positions of authority. And taking up leadership positions is thus merely formalizing that which exists in all of us, especially women who have played important role in leadership, often without recognition in our families, in our communities, and in our economies. Secondly, public leadership is a journey. And like any journey, it begins with a decision to step forward, often into spaces where we are not expected and sometimes not welcomed as women. My own journey into public leadership was not gradual. I was deployed into a senior public leadership role shortly after completing university with limited experience and little time to prepare. I had to learn quickly. I was fortunate, though, to receive mentorship from leaders who believed in my potential, including our president, a very pragmatic man who was the leader of the revolution that led to our country's independence. But I also got support from other leaders from different generations and from different backgrounds, as well as from my peers, both males and females, and that support was instrumental. However, the path was not without resistance. As a young unmarried woman without a child, I encountered skepticism from many quarters. My presence in leadership was questioned, my ideas were met with doubt, and my mistakes were often magnified. There were moments of open, harsh criticism, and at times, subtle forms of bullying, particularly in public platforms and through media coverage. These experiences are not unique. Across our countries and institutions, women continue to face barriers that hinder their rise to leadership. Gender stereotypes, limited access to financial resources, and gender-based violence, both online and offline, remain significant challenges. These pressures can be discouraging, and in some cases, they lead women to step away from leadership altogether. This is why support systems matter. Mentorship, preparation, and wellness programs are not optional. They are essential. Political parties, government institutions, and workplaces must invest in these structures in order to ensure that women are not only deployed into leadership positions, but that they are supported throughout their leadership journey. Government must also enact laws to promote women participation in leadership positions, including through mandatory quotas. We must further address practical concerns such as maternity benefits and child care support for childbearing age women. When I went on maternity to have my 2 daughters, I had to use vacation leave because there was no fully paid maternity benefits at that time. Thankfully, reforms are now underway to put that in place, with the government having decided to offer full maternity benefits for its employees, while consultations are ongoing with stakeholders to achieve that at national level. We must continue to advocate for policies that allow women to lead without compromising their family responsibilities. Digital platforms also require attention. Cyberbullying and media bias disproportionately affect women in public roles. As technology evolves, so must our regulations to protect dignity and encourage participation. Importantly, women must support one another. We must move away from competition and toward collaboration. And we must engage men as allies because gender equality benefits everyone. It's not about taking something away, it's about building something better together. In closing, I have learned that setbacks are part of the journey to success. Often we dwell on criticism long after those that were making these criticisms have forgotten about our mistakes. Each challenge is an opportunity to grow. Those who persist often become the ones who pave the way for others. Let us continue to share our experiences, open doors, and work together to transform leadership so that it reflects the diversity and strength of our society. In conclusion, inclusion is not a zero-sum game. When we create space for others, we strengthen our institutions and our societies, and we broaden our perspectives. Men and women should thus work together to promote inclusive leadership for mutual benefits and stronger communities and nations. I thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amadila, for such insightful remarks. And now the floor is to Ms. Claudia Roth. I know you have started your career in the world of arts, and here you are now, a seasoned politician. I look forward to learning more about your journey.
Yeah, my dear colleagues, dear friends, I'm really so happy to be back in the family of the IPU, which is so important, especially in these hard times. So my way is a long way. I was born 1955, so you can imagine my politics is around 50 years I'm in politics. And it's a lifelong struggle for equal rights, and not only for a little bit equal rights. It's a long struggle for participatory justice. It's a struggle for a career in politics and a career in power that is absolutely normal for men to make a career and to have power, and it's still an exception for women. And today it is the struggle for our women's rights that are more and more under attack, like the rights of LGBTIQ+. It's a struggle against the backlash against equality, and we have a lot to do. I started in '89 when I was elected to the European Parliament. I became group leader of the Green Group in the European Parliament. I moved to the German Parliament in '98. I was the president of the Human Rights Committee, and I was vice president for 8 years. And in the last government, in the last period, I was Minister for Culture and Media. And I was 13 years leader of the Green Party of Germany. So you can imagine there are a lot of experiences. I learned to raise my voice, not to be silent, and not to allow anybody to silence me. I learned to intervene. Even if a man had said something good, why shouldn't I I repeat? Because it's always different if you speak with your own words. I learned to contradict without fear to be criticized, because for sure you are criticized. And I learned not to be modest. Women in politics should never be modest. What helped me, of course, my grandma, the most wonderful human being in the world, my parents, my father, he said, "You are strong, Claudia, form your own opinion, fight for it, even when the wind blows icy cold in your face." My mommy said, "Claudia, don't marry too early, stay independent." Yeah, when I was 30 years, not married. When I was 40 years, not married. When I was 50 years, not married. My mother doubted whether her advice was really the best one, but I'm still independent. It was a very difficult way, and is still a difficult way as a woman in politics, because you have always to be better to be accepted. You have to be courageous not to give up. And they do their utmost to threaten you. And this is really, really, really a very hard challenge, because violence and online hate speech silence women and minorities in public life, deterring participation and leadership. And intersectionality matters. Women of color, LGBTIQ+ individuals and women with disabilities face multiple and overlapping barriers. We have to show what solidarity means with these women and with these groups. For example, in Germany, far-right groups weaponize the term gender as a kind of a culture war issue. Every attack shows how powerful feminism has become. We should be proud what we achieved. And because masculinists, they want to change. They want to take away what does not belong to them. And let us not forget, when women are silenced, democracy goes silent. When women lead, democracy breathes again. So don't let anybody allow to silence us. The world, we have a lot to do. The world faces a polycrisis, wars, climate collapse, democratic erosion, disinformation, a rising authoritarianism, and a backlash of human rights. Today, we should not forget, and I do not forget today, here at this stage, the women of Afghanistan. The women of Afghanistan deprived of all their rights, of all their fundamental rights. We should not forget the courageous women in Iran fighting for women, life, and freedom. I do not forget the women in Ukraine in this terrible war, where they very, very often were victims of sexual violence. And I do not forget the situation in the global south, especially in the global south, that the climate crisis is not gender neutral. Women, especially in the global south, bear disproportionate burdens, but also lead the most creative movements for change. We in the North, we can learn from the women in the global South. We should listen to them, and we should stay together, because there's no climate justice without gender justice, and no future without feminist leadership, for sure. For me, leadership and equality are inseparable. True leadership reflects the diversity of our societies, ensuring that women and marginalized groups are not only represented but empowered in decision-making. We must move from representation to real influence. Equality must be reflected not only in who sits at the table, but in the decisions, budgets, and priorities that shape our collective future. And equality in leadership is not a women's issue. It is a matter of democratic legitimacy, social progress, and sustainable government. Let me give you a few key facts and figures of Germany. In the current German Bundestag, women make only 32.5% of members of parliament. This is a decline, and I feel that is really a shame for our parliament. But women are 52% in the population, and the gender balance varies sharply by party. For example, in my political group, in the Green Group, women hold over 60% of seats, thanks to the Zipper principle, a quota system requiring alternating genders on party lists. It is very, very successful, this system. So that means we always start in voting for a list with number 1, 3, 5, always for women, whereas 2, 4, 6, 8 open for women, for men, for everybody. That allows us to be guaranteed not in a minority, but at least in a majority. And this changes the policy from all, also for our men. So we have the most intelligent women in the parliament group, and we have quite handsome men, which is also not bad for politics. Women, what works? Give me some of my experiences at the end. What works? Feminist approaches, quotas and parity laws, proven to increase women's representation and normalize gender equality in leadership. What helps is family-friendly parliamentary reforms, flexible schedules, parental leave for MPs, and accessible childcare are essential for inclusive and modern democracies. What helps? Feminist leadership training and mentorship, building networks and confidence for new generations of women and marginalized leaders. What helps is inclusive leadership models centered on empathy, cooperation, sustainability, and justice. Let me close. Transforming leadership means redefining power itself, from power over to power with. We need leaders who care, who listen, who build bridges. The world does not need stronger men. It needs stronger compassion. Feminist leadership is not only about equality. It is about survival, about democracy, and the kind of future we want to live in. In times of fear and division, empathy is the most radical form of leadership. Let us be women with empathy. Thank you.
Thank you for such an interesting contribution, Mrs. Roth. And the floor is to Ms. Amanda Ellis.
E ngā rangatiratanga, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. I have just recognized you as leaders, as chiefs in Māori, the indigenous language of my birth island, Aotearoa, New Zealand. Now, New Zealand is a small country between Australia and Antarctica, with only 5 million people. But we are a leader in women's political rights. The first country in the world where women were legally allowed to vote, way back in 1893. And I remember racing home from school to tell my mother how excited I was to learn that this was a world first and that New Zealand was the first country where women were granted the right to vote. And she looked at me and she said, no, 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 no. That is all wrong, dear. Women were not granted the right to vote. Women won the right to vote. Women chained themselves to the railings of Parliament. Women made sure that they worked together and organized themselves into networks for change. And finally, women also made sure that they engaged male allies to help pass this important legislation. So we have had a proud legacy of women's leadership in New Zealand. And by the time I entered the workforce in 1988, we had had two strong women prime ministers, Jenny Shipley and Helen Clark. We had also passed equal opportunity legislation. So you can imagine my shock, my horror, my dismay when I was told that I was not able to take the notes as part of my job for Secretariat of Pacific Economic Cooperation Conference, the precursor to APEC. The reason? I was a woman. And I said, well, sorry? They were holding the meeting at the all-male Wellington Club. And so I was going to be excluded because I was a woman. And I said, well, surely you'll just change the venue. It's 1988, and we have equal opportunity legislation. And my boss said, oh, you know, all of the senior managers at the Foreign Ministry belong to the Wellington Club, and you're only a diplomatic trainee, so you better keep quiet. And by the way, it's the Americans, the most powerful country in the world, who have asked for this meeting at the Wellington Club, so a small country like ours can't rock the boat. Well, I joined the Foreign Ministry because I wanted to help change the world for the better. And it seemed I couldn't even get into the rooms where they were going to be talking about it. So I spent a few sleepless months where finally I said, you know, I have to have the courage of my convictions, and I am going to resign. I can't make a difference. I am going to tender my resignation. But I'm not going to do it quietly. So I took the elevator up to the 13th floor of the Foreign Ministry, where no diplomatic trainee had ever been before. And I was met by a very shocked executive assistant of the secretary. Ms. Alice, what are you doing here? No diplomatic trainee in my 42 years of service has ever dared to come to the 13th floor. And I explained. And she said, wow, I'm going to make an exception for the first time in my career, but on one proviso. You do not tender your resignation, but you ask the secretary to find you a solution. So a couple of days later, in I went, knees knocking, terrified, to see Secretary Norrish. I told him the story, and he looked at me as though there was nothing wrong. Yes, Miss Ellis, they're holding the meeting at the Wellington Club. So no, Miss Ellis, you can't participate. And then I had an aha moment. We were going through a significant Maori renaissance in the 1980s. And so I asked him, would you exclude me on the basis of my ethnicity or the color of my skin? Would you find that acceptable? He suddenly had a little coughing fit. He looked at the ceiling. He looked at his shoes. He looked at me. And he said, Ms. Ellis, I now understand what you're saying. You're right. That's not appropriate. And I propose two things to you. One, that you go and see some of the senior women in the Foreign Ministry. I know it's a very hierarchical place, but I suggest you share this with them and see what advice they have for you. And number two, I am going to write to the Wellington Club. I'm going to inform them that it's 1988 and women are now entering the workforce in greater numbers. If they do not recognize that, they will lose much needed revenue. Now, while I didn't think that that was very satisfactory at the time, those were absolutely critical lessons for me. First of all, being brave enough to speak out and take courageous action, as many of you do every day representing your countries. Second, the power of a women's network, organizing in solidarity in the way Zaina brings you all together to share best practices. And finally, the importance of powerful male allies supporting and being prepared to make the business case. So I took those lessons with me to other roles in my career as the inaugural manager for women in business at Westpac Banking Corporation, where in the early 90s, my colleagues would ring me anonymously. "Why are you running a lesbian business unit, Alice?" And they would hang up the phone. 3 years later, when we were turning over $500 million in annualized revenue as a result of data trackable to our initiatives in the women's market, they had significantly changed their tune. The CEO was a champion, and we had created the Women of Westpac. We came together then globally and created the Global Banking Alliance for Women in 2000, still going strong with 57 members. If you want a bank in your country to join, come and see me afterwards. And then I moved to the World Bank and was honored to start the International Finance Corporation's first gender and private sector initiative. Again, my colleagues didn't believe in the business case, and it was Nigeria that was the first country, through the mentorship of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is now running the World Trade Organization. And Ngozi helped connect me to Access Bank. We wanted a $30 million loan for their women entrepreneurs who at the time could only use gold jewelry for collateral. But the guys at the International Finance Corporation said, women, we don't think they can do that. We'll give you 15 as an experiment. Well, within 6 months, we'd used the 15, and it was the most successful business loan and line of credit that the International Finance Corporation did that year. And I'm happy to tell you that is now a $1 billion fund. Then at the World Bank, I was privileged to run the World Bank President's CEO Leaders Forum to promote women's economic empowerment. And I realized how important it is to have male allies. Martin Chungung, in his role as the chair of the International Gender Champions, is a fantastic example. So we need more Martins and more male champions. But one of the first things I realized when trying to do a line of credit for women in Kenya was that the law, many laws, actually prevented women from accessing finance. So we started a big project called Women, Business and the Law. It now covers 190 countries, and you can Google it and see the list of laws where your country still needs to make a change. We have only 64% of the legal economic rights of our male counterparts. Ladies, in 2025, that is totally unacceptable. And we know from the research that were we to have equal legal rights, we would have something like $3 trillion added to the global economy. The business case is incredibly strong. So I've been very lucky to be New Zealand's inaugural ambassador for women and girls and our PR right here in Geneva. Only 7% of women have served as their country's permanent representative to the United Nations. So please, all of you who hold such influential roles, please advocate at home to make sure that we can get more women into those roles as well. And finally, as a boring old economist, I can reiterate the comments made by my two brilliant previous colleagues. There is such a strong business case when we have more women in parliaments, more women on boards, more women entrepreneurs. There is a link to climate justice, to solving the poly crisis and to making things better for everybody intergenerationally. So, to close, I would like to quote from one of my favorite poets, Amanda Gorman, who wrote The Hill We Climb. She asked, when day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? And concluded, despite all the incredible obstacles that you face as politicians in today's very divisive world, very divided world, with the incredible barriers, the sexual harassment, online, offline, and the huge backlash we are seeing. She said, "The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light, if only we're brave enough to be it, if only we're brave enough to see it." Thank you all for your bravery, your courage, and your leadership.
Thank you very much for such an inspiring contribution. A warm thank you to all our panelists for having accepted our invitation to join this panel and for such enriching contributions. Dear colleagues, I am pleased to open the floor now for your contributions. We will start with Zimbabwe, and next is Lesotho.
Hello, thank you. Can I do it from here? Thank you. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share my personal experiences and insights under the theme, Rise to Power, Personal Stories of Overcoming Barriers. Today, I am the President of the Senate in the Parliament of Zimbabwe. But the journey to get here was an especially long, meandering, and often difficult one. I am happy to stand before you or just to present while I'm seated here as both a testament to women's perseverance and testimony of feminine endurance. Having gone through all that can be imagined and having defied all the odds. Madam President, despite growing recognition of the value of gender diversity in leadership, women continue to face significant obstacles in ascending to decision-making roles across politics, business, and civil society. I have personally experienced these challenges. Patriarchal norms prioritize men as leaders, relegating women to supportive roles. Let me tell you a bit of my story. I joined the Zimbabwean War for Liberation in 1975. In my heart and spirit, I felt that I had the duty and obligation. I abandoned my secondary school education and crossed the border into Mozambique to join the fight for the freedom of my country. I was trained and I survived the 1977 Chimoio attack, during which over 2,000 of our comrades were killed. I was sent to Ethiopia, where I received further training for 9 months. When I returned from Ethiopia, I was deployed to the front line where we fought side by side with our male counterparts and end the independence of our country. Post-independence, I continued on a political course.
Please conclude. The time is up.
But it was never easy, please. Regardless of my war credentials, I was still sidelined and forced to be second-rate to my male counterparts, many of whom had never seen war or held the barrel of a gun in their hands. Had it not been for the fighting spirit that is resident in me, I would have been up on my political career and resigned to a quiet life, probably as a housewife. But I did not give up because women, by their very nature, are resilient, strong, and enduring. In 1990, regardless of the fact that I was a nursing mother to my third child, I campaigned viciously and I became one of the first female members of parliament in Zimbabwe. I have served in various roles of authority in Zimbabwe.
Please, Zimbabwe, the time is up.
Please,
Sorry
I
about
think
that.
you should listen to some of these things, honestly. And the biggest challenge we continue to face is patriarchal suppression, which is supported by limited access to financial resources and credit. I have had to rely on personal resources to fund my campaigns, which is an incredible, expensive endeavor. I am sure that most of you here have struggled to balance family responsibilities with political demands, a factor that can severely impact a woman's political trajectory. To date, it is still a mammoth task for a woman. If I can bring you to the end of what I think women can be helped, allow me to share 5 key lessons for my journey. Unity and cooperation among women are essential in ensuring the inclusion of women at the tables of power. Persistence and perseverance will always yield results. Be the change you wish to see. Support other aspiring women leaders. Give them encouragement. Engage with male counterparts, even in the face of resistance, especially traditional leaders and political counterparts. Mentor your girls and women. They are your succession plan. They are the future. Like here, I've got small girls with me here. I always move with them. I thank you. I thank you.
Dear colleagues, we want to hear from all of you, so please, 3 minutes only. Thank you. Now, Lesotho. And next is Thailand.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, for the opportunity to present my views on this important subject matter. I'm the Deputy Speaker in the National Assembly of Lesotho, which has 30% women representation in the National Assembly, largely due to a mixed member proportion system of constituency seats and proportional representation. We have the first Deputy Prime Minister ever with the government of 2022. We are also heavily a patriarchal society. The journey is long, the pace is very slow, and we need to be intentional about changing the status quo. I am here to commit, to gather strength from all of you, and to get an amplified mandate towards gender parity in my own country. At present, I push for women to join politics, not just to support our male counterparts, which is normally the case, but to ensure that we provide mentorship, coaching, and support to women and youth for them to take up the space. Inviting young women's organization representatives to my office, being invited to youth activities, symposiums, etc., and engaging with them online, creating platforms of engagement out of the office of the Deputy Speaker in a more friendly and receptive environment for community engagement. I have personally started a campaign called Race to Parliament for women and youth, teaching them about the journey to Parliament through political parties and their leadership development, because I'm currently intentional about having more women and youth to become members of Parliament. It is important in my role, therefore, to arrange for platforms that expose members of Parliament to adversities of women such that they become more intentional with their advocacy as they speak on gender equality. Indeed, there have been some pushbacks against women's rights. I always strive to uphold a fair debate in my position, enforce rules, amplify voices. As women, sometimes we intimidate rather than create opportunities for other women members of Parliament. Therefore, it's important to allow them to be advocates and speak and present their perspectives very clearly. Honorable Chairperson, we also need to break taboos and challenging patriarchal norms. We must, over and above our intuition, which we are very exceptional on as women, we need to rely on data. We need to engage with researchers and think tanks on status quo based on research regarding numbers and in leadership and political representation towards influencing policy. Therefore, as I close, I say it is important to ensure that we promote gender-sensitive policies in our platforms. We need to raise awareness using our spaces to highlight the importance of gender equality, transformative laws, and talking on negative impact of pushbacks. We also need to mediate conflicts and act as neutral mediators to resolve tensions that so that we foster constructive dialogue on gender issues. I close by saying, encouraging careful examination of laws and social customs that often lead to resistance against gender equality because they are rooted in patriarchal, male-dominated systems is very key. When women take the lead, societies grow.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisota. Thank you.
With this session that we have today. Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thailand, and next is Morocco. Thailand.
Madam Chairperson, distinguished colleagues, it is a great honor to speak before you today. My name is Thitima Chaisang, Member of Parliament from Thailand. Since I was young, I have always believed that politics can change people's lives. I grew up in a family that valued public service, as my late father was also a member of Parliament. I often saw him visiting communities, talking with people, and finding ways to solve their problems. Witnessing his parliamentary dedication deeply inspired me. I wanted to follow in his footsteps and continue serving the people with the same spirit. However, entering politics as a woman was not an easy path. In many communities, some people have a firm belief that women are too soft or too weak to take leadership roles. They believe women should stay at home, cook, or take care of the family. When I decided to run for election, some even said, politics is not for women. Those words did not stop me from entering politics. They gave me more energy to prove that women can lead with strength, wisdom, and compassion. I walked through rice fields, visited small villages, and spoke directly with the people. I listened to their stories, their struggles, and their hopes, as my late father always did. From those experiences, I have learned something very important, that confidence and kindness could exist together. As women, we do not need to act like men to gain respect. We can lead and reinforce each other with our own strength, with empathy, honesty, and sincerity. Social media has also become an important tool in my political journey. It allows me to connect with young people, to listen to their opinions, and to share my vision. But at the same time, it can be challenging. Women in politics often face negative or violent comments online. I have learned to stay calm, to respond with facts and positivity, and never let online hate silence my voice. Today, I continue to believe that being a parliamentarian is not about using power or force. It is about speaking, listening, and fighting for the people we represent. Because at its heart, politics is not about gender. It's about giving a voice to those who cannot speak for themselves. Thank you very much.
Morocco and Russian Federation next.
شكرا سيدتي. سأحاول تلخيص تجربتي من خلال أفكار عامة وطرح سؤال ثم الإجابة عليه. اليوم الحديث عن القيادة التحويلية لإحداث الأثر الأكبر على المجتمع يعتبر في الواقع أكبر دليل على تحقق ما يسمى بالديمقراطية والحداثة السياسية. يعتبر أيضا دليل على مدى تفعيل المقتضيات الدستورية ذات الصلة بالمساواة والمناصفة. يعتبر أيضا الوصول إلى السلطة يعبر عن مدى صدقية وفعلية خطابات الأحزاب السياسية وخروجها عن خطاباتها الموسمية وتمكين النساء من الوصول إلى مواقع القرار. يعتبر أيضا الوصول إلى السلطة يتطلب في بلدي حراكا مدنيا وحزبيا طويلا، أولا من أجل تجويد التشريعات الوطنية، ثانيا من أجل حمل الحكومات المتعاقبة على تفعيل الالتزامات والاتفاقيات الدولية في هذا المجال. وصول النساء إلى السلطة في الغالب ليس هدية وليس امتيازا، على الأقل بالنسبة لمناضلات قطعن أشواطا طويلة داخل أحزابهن. إنه أمر مستحق ولكنه متعب في نفس الوقت. مستحق لأنهن واجهن إكراهات ثقافية ومجتمعية، واجهن التهميش والإقصاء داخل بنياتهن الحزبية، اشتغلن طويلا لكي يصلن إلى ما وصلن إليه، وهو أمر متعب أيضا لأنه لم توضع من أجلهن بنيات ولم تتخذ من أجلهن مبادرات، بل لم يتنكرن لأدوارهن التقليدية، وليس مسموحا لهن أن يتنكرن لأدوارهن التقليدية المرتبطة برعاية الأسرة والأطفال إلى ذلك. السؤال الأساسي اليوم: ما الذي يمكن أن تضيفه النساء إلى السلطة؟ أولاً، ليس من المعقول في زمن الذكاء الاصطناعي أن يتم الاستغناء عن نصف الذكاء البشري والطبيعي، ذكاء النساء. ثانياً، إن الوصول ديال النساء للسلطة ليس مجرد وصول إلى المساواة، ولكنه دليل على تغير وتغيير طبيعة السلطة ذاتها. أظهرت الدراسات وهي قليلة في هذا المجال أن النساء عندما يصلن إلى مناصب القرار يعتمدن المقاربة التشاركية، يجودن روح الفريق، يستطعن أن يلين الصراعات الداخلية داخل فرق الاشتغال. ثم إن وصول النساء إلى السلطة يساعد على استثمار كل الذكاءات الممكنة، الذكاء الرياضي والذكاء الانفعالي والذكاء العاطفي إلى غير ذلك. السلطة بصيغة المؤنث يمكن أن تؤثر أيضا على تراجع الفساد. البنك الدولي للأمم المتحدة ربط العلاقة بين النساء في مواقع القرار وتراجع نسبة الفساد. في الواقع يمكن أن أجازف وأقول بأن وصول النساء إلى السلطة يمكن أن يعطي وجها جديدا للسلطة. قد يبدو هذا مبالغا فيه، ولكن صدقوني زميلاتي وزملائي، نحن النساء يمكن أن نعطي وجها جديدا للسلطة. وشكرا.
Thank you, Morocco. Now the Russian Federation, and then next is Tunisia.
Добрый день, уважаемые коллеги. В современном мире женщины играют важнейшую созидательную роль во всех областях общественной жизни, в политике, экономике, социальной и духовных сферах. И это наше главное общее достижение. В вопросе равенства мужчины и женщины Россия является наследницей Советского Союза. Положение женщин в нашей стране в 20 веке заметно отличалось как от стран Востока, так и от западных стран. Мы были одной из первых стран, где женщины получили избирательные права, а охват населения системой дошкольного образования позволил женщинам выходить на работу после рождения детей. В России сохраняется тенденция к расширению участия женщин в деятельности органов власти всех уровней. По мере увеличения числа женщин в политике и во власти происходит последовательный акцент в продвижении политики, направленный на повышение качества жизни и отражение приоритетов семей, женщин, детей, этнических и расовых меньшинств. Результаты исследований демонстрируют, что женщины-законодатели чаще, чем коллеги-мужчины, продвигают законопроекты в сферах образования, ухода за детьми и семейного здравоохранения. Россия стремится усилить присутствие женщин в политике путем повышения их конкурентоспособности. Мы всегда выступали за более активное участие женщин во всех аспектах формирования стабильности, мироустройства и гуманитарных мероприятий. Мы всецело поддерживаем вовлечение женщин в миротворческую деятельность. По предложению председателя Совета Федерации Валентины Ивановны Матвиенко правительством Российской Федерации была принята национальная стратегия действий в интересах женщин. В рамках стратегии реализуется широкий набор мер, направленных на поддержку женщин и расширение их участия в общественной, политической и экономической сфере, улучшение их социального положения и сохранение здоровья. Осуществляются шаги по защите женщин от любой дискриминации и насилия. На сегодняшний день индекс женской деловой активности достиг исторического максимума и составляет почти 74%. При этом карьерный рост они умело совмещают с семейными обязанностями и воспитанием детей. Хочу отметить, что под эгидой Совета Федерации раз в 3 года собирается Евразийский женский форум. Он объединяет женщин-лидеров со всех континентов. Тематика форума охватывает глобальные проблемы человечества, изменение климата, экологическая и продовольственная безопасность, развитие технологий, миграционные процессы, развитие здравоохранения и, конечно же, борьба с бедностью. В прошлом году состоялся уже 4-й форум. Он консолидирует лидеров женщин и женские объединения в интересах мира и государственного гуманитарного сотрудничества. Также Евразийский женский форум стимулировал создание и работу новых международных женских организаций. В 2024 году в рамках форума впервые состоялся первый женский форум БРИКС. В декабре 2024 года была представлена новая инициатива «Женщина за здоровье мужчин». Это важная тема в разрезе проводимой в Российской Федерации демографической политики. Также в нашей стране ведется стратегически выверенная работа по расширению возможностей женщин для самореализации, для создания условий их лидерства во всех сферах жизни. Спасибо.
Thank you. Now Tunisia, followed by UAE.
شكرا السيدة الرئيس. يشرفني اليوم أن أتحدث عن موضوع مشاركة المرأة في البرلمانات، وهو أحد المؤشرات الحقيقية لمدى تقدم المجتمعات وقدرتها على تحقيق العدالة والمساواة. يشرفني أن أثني معكم على تاريخ تونس الذي شكلته نساء مثل راضية الحداد، أول رئيسة للاتحاد النسائي القومي وأول امرأة تنال عضوية مجلس نواب الشعب بعد الاستقلال منذ سنة 1959، مثالاً للقيادة والشجاعة والإصرار على حضور المرأة. في الحياة العامة اليوم المرأة التونسية لا تكتفي بالمشاركة، بل تقود وتتقلد أعلى المناصب، فقد تقلدت منصب رئاسة الحكومة في تونس مرتين. المرأة التونسية اليوم صوتها عالي، حاضر في كل المجالات سياسياً اجتماعياً وثقافياً، وهي شريك أصيل في صنع القرار وبناء المستقبل. لقد قطعنا خطوات مهمة في سبيل تمكين المرأة، لكن الطريق ما زال طويلاً. فمشاركة المرأة لا تقاس فقط بالأرقام، بل بمدى قدرتها على التأثير والمبادرة داخل المؤسسات التشريعية والسياسية. في تونس نفتخر أننا من الدول التي تتعامل مع المرأة والرجل على أساس المساواة في الإنسانية والكفاءة لا على أساس النوع الاجتماعي. لقد تجاوزنا من حيث المبدأ النقاش حول حقوق المرأة الأساسية، لكن تبقى مشاركتها السياسية محدودة أحياناً بسبب العوائق الاقتصادية والاجتماعية، وأيضاً نتيجة ما تتعرض له النساء من عنف سياسي بمختلف أشكاله، من التشويه والتحريض إلى الإقصاء والتضييق على الرأي والمواقف. إن العنف السياسي ضد المرأة لا يستهدف شخصها فقط، بل يهدد التعددية والديمقراطية ذاتها، لأنه يقصي نصف المجتمع في الفضاء العام. ولذلك فإن دعم مشاركة المرأة لا يجب أن يقتصر على النصوص القانونية، بل يجب أن يشمل حماية النساء السياسيات والبرلمانيات من كل أشكال العنف والتمييز، إلى جانب تمكينها اقتصادياً، وتوفير بيئة آمنة تحترم تنوع الآراء والمواقف بهذه المقاربة الشاملة. إليكم البعض من المقترحات التي يمكن تضمينها لتحقيق مشاركة حقيقية وفاعلة للمرأة. أولاً، إنشاء آلية دائمة لرصد ومتابعة وضع النساء البرلمانيات والناشطات السياسيات في العالم، خاصة اللواتي يتعرضن للعنف والإقصاء، حتى لا تبقى الانتهاكات بلا صوت أو متابعة. ثم تبادل الخبرات بين الدول والتجارب الإيجابية، تمكين اقتصادي داعم للمشاركة السياسية، مراجعة القوانين المتعلقة بالعنف السياسي، ثم إدماج الرجال كشركاء لا كمنافسين. وختاماً، أقترح أن يصدر عن منتدانا إعلان تضامن دولي ضد العنف السياسي المسلط على النساء، يؤكد التزامنا الجماعي بحماية المرأة ودعم مشاركتها في الحياة العامة. وشكراً لكم.
Thank you. UAE followed by Uzbekistan.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السيدات والسادة، يسعدني أن أتحدث اليوم في إطار هذا الحوار البناء حول القيادة التحويلية التي تقوم على الإلهام وتمكين الآخرين وصون الكرامة الإنسانية باعتبارها أساس العدالة والمساواة. ومن هذا المنطلق يشكل تمكين المرأة ركناً محورياً في مسيرة التنمية، إذ أثبتت المرأة الإماراتية جدارتها كشريك فاعل في صنع القرار والمساهم رئيسي في بناء مجتمع أكثر عدلاً واستقراراً. لقد قدمت دولة الإمارات نموذجاً ملهماً في هذا المجال، إذ جعلت تمكين المرأة جزءاً من رؤيتها التنموية، ووفرت لها البنية التشريعية والمؤسسية التي تضمن مشاركتها الكاملة في جميع القطاعات. واليوم نفخر بأن المرأة الإماراتية تشغل نصف مقاعد المجلس الوطني الاتحادي أي البرلمان، وتشارك بفعالية في صياغة السياسات الوطنية وصناعة المستقبل. وفي هذا الإطار لا يمكن التطرق إلى مسيرة تمكين المرأة في دولة الإمارات دون الإشادة بالدور الريادي والاستثنائي لسمو الشيخة فاطمة بنت مبارك أم الإمارات، التي شكلت برؤيتها الحكيمة ركيزة أساسية لمسيرة النهوض بالمرأة الإماراتية ومصدر إلهام لمساعي تمكينها في مؤسسات رائدة، أبرزها الاتحاد النسائي العام ومجلس الإمارات للتوازن بين الجنسين ومؤسسة التنمية الأسرية. ختاماً، أؤمن بأن القيادة التحويلية تبدأ من الإيمان بالقدرة على التغيير ومن الالتزام بمبادئ العدالة والمساواة، وهي القيم لا تتحقق إلا بالتعاون والإرادة المشتركة والإيمان بأن المستقبل أكثر إنصافاً هو مسؤوليتنا جميعاً. شكراً لحسن استماعكم.
Thank you. Uzbekistan and followed by Bulgaria.
Assalomu alaykum. Hurmatli rais, aziz hamkasblar. Bugungi muhokamamizning mavzusi birdamlik va ilhom. Ayollarni o'z yo'lida qo'llab-quvvatlash degan mavzu alohida ahamiyatga egadir. Zero barqaror rivojlanish, tinchlik, taraqqiyotning asosini xotin-qizlar tashkil qiladi. Aynan parlamentlar ularga imkoniyatlar yaratib beruvchi hamda huquq va manfaatlarini himoya qiluvchi institut bo'lishi shart. O'zbekistonda xotin-qizlarning jamiyat hayotining barcha jabhalarida faol ishtirokini ta'minlash davlat siyosatining ustuvor yo'nalishlaridan biri hisoblanadi. Prezidentimiz Shavkat Mirziyoyev rahbarligida xotin-qizlarning mavqeini mustahkamlash, ularning boshqaruvdagi rolini oshirish hamda har bir ayolning o'z salohiyatini ro'yobga chiqarishi uchun shart-sharoitlar yaratish borasida izchil ishlar amalga oshirilmoqda. Ushbu sohada qonunchilikni takomillashtirish, parlament nazoratini olib borish va davlat dasturlarini amalga oshirishga alohida e'tibor qaratilmoqda. Bu jarayonda Senat huzuridagi gender tenglik bo'yicha komissiya faol ishtirok etib, davlat va jamiyat institutlari bilan o'zaro hamkorlikni muvofiqlashtirib bormoqda. Aziz do'stlar, ushbu siyosatning natijalari amalda bugun o'zining natijasini topmoqda. Ayrim misollarni keltirib o'taman. Parlamentda xotin-qizlarning ulushi 38% ga yetdi. Ijro hokimiyati organlarida 35% ga yetdi. So'nggi 5 yilda tadbirkor ayollar soni 2 baravarga oshdi. O'zbekistonda aholi farovonligini oshirish borasida amalga oshirilayotgan siyosat ham o'zining ijobiy natijalarini bermoqda. 2019-yilda kambag'allik darajasi qariyb 17% ni tashkil etgan bo'lsa, hozir bu ko'rsatkich 6.8% ga tushdi. Yil oxiriga kelib, uni 6% ga tushirish rejalashtirilgan. Bunga aholi bandligini ta'minlashga qaratilgan keng ko'lamli dasturlar, xotin-qizlar va oilaviy tadbirkorlikni rivojlantirish, aholini manzilli ijtimoiy qo'llab-quvvatlash borasida amalga oshirilayotgan ishlar turtki bo'ldi. Oliy ta'lim bilan qamrov 42% ga oshdi. Bakalavriat talabalarining 53% va magistrantlarning 63% dan ortig'i xotin-qizlarni tashkil qilyapti. Ehtiyojmand toifalar, yolg'iz onalar, nogironligi bo'lgan xotin-qizlar, zo'ravonlikdan jabr ko'rgan ayollarni himoya qilishga alohida e'tibor qaratilmoqda. Hurmatli hamkasblar, shu bilan birga butun dunyoda, ayniqsa nizoli va gumanitar inqirozlar yuz berayotgan mintaqalarda xotin-qizlarning taqdiri bizni ham chuqur tashvishlantirmoqda. Mazkur hududlarda ayollar xavfsizlik, ta'lim, tibbiyotdan mahrum etilgan. Shuning uchun xalqaro hamjamiyat tomonidan himoyasiz va umidsiz qolgan ayollarga yordam berish orqali insoniylik, birdamlik, mas'uliyat ko'rsatilishi kerak deb hisoblaymiz. O'zaro hamkorlik va yordam uchun noyob maydon hisoblangan parlamentlararo ittifoq bu borada alohida o'rin tutishiga ishonchimiz komil. Biz parlament a'zolari quyidagilarni amalga oshirishimiz mumkin. Birinchidan, nafaqat qonunchilik amaliyoti, balki samarali siyosat modellari, xotin-qizlarni qo'llab-quvvatlash bo'yicha ijtimoiy va raqamli tashabbuslar almashuvini kuchaytirishimiz kerak. Ikkinchidan, yosh parlament a'zolaridan tortib, to murakkab vaziyatga tushib qolgan turli toifadagi xotin-qizlarni qo'llab-quvvatlash va ularni kasblarga tayyorlash, bilimli qilish choralarini kengaytirishimiz kerak. Uchinchidan, inqirozli va nizoni boshidan o'tkazgan mintaqalarda xotin-qizlarga ko'maklashish bo'yicha parlamentlararo mexanizmlarni yo'lga qo'yishimiz zarur. Bizning umumiy maqsadimiz har bir ayol o'zi yashayotgan mamlakati sharoitidan qat'iy nazar munosib hayot kechirish, mehnat qilish, ta'lim olish va boshqaruvda ishtirok etish huquqiga ega bo'lishdan iboratdir. Aynan shu barchamizni birlashtirib turadigan chinakam birdamlik va ilhomlantiruvchi kuch hisoblanadi. E'tiboringiz uchun rahmat.
Thank you, Uzbekistan, and thank you for hosting us in Tashkent last IPU. Thank you very much. Now we have Bulgaria and then Angola.
Honorable Chair, distinguished colleagues, I would like to thank the IPU Bureau of Women Parliamentarians for creating this space where solidarity is not only discussed, but it is also demonstrated. When we speak of women's leadership, we often focus on individual achievements, but behind every woman who succeeds stands a community of support, other women who believed, mentored, and lifted her when the path seemed impossible. This is why I'm proud to be an active force and the co-founder of She's the Change, an organization that mentors and trains women aspiring to enter politics. Through our academy, we equip women with the tools, confidence, and networks they need to run for office, lead campaigns, and to stand tall in the face of bias and online abuse. When I think of women who inspire me the most, I look precisely to the female leaders from She's the Change, women who turn determination into real-life action. They are the local leaders who work for the inclusion of people with disabilities, who give a voice to survivors of domestic violence, and who open community conversations on some of the most difficult social issues. I see many of them who are currently taking the next step, like running for office and shaping local policies in their towns. However, colleagues, solidarity cannot stop at women supporting women. We must also engage men as allies, colleagues, mentors, and champions of equality. Therefore, we need to encourage the male colleagues from our IPU delegations to be present and active here. But we also need to address such issues back home in our electoral regions with men and women of different ages, ethnicity, and backgrounds. We need to think of comprehensive methods to include this topic in our education systems and to show that women's leadership is a path toward a fairer, safer, and more democratic world. In Bulgaria, we have made progress. 5 women have served as speakers of parliament, including our current speaker. Yet, only 23% of the members of parliament and 5% of ministers are women. The numbers show that women are not afraid to take higher positions, but cultural and societal perceptions still present obstacles. Women in politics often face higher gender bias and online abuse, discouraging many from stepping forward as candidates. Therefore, I call for the adoption of multidimensional strategies like providing funding for equal access to political campaigning. We can also introduce comprehensive national and international mentorship programs, and last but not least, should develop work-life balance policies. Dear colleagues, when one woman rises, we all rise. Let's continue to inspire, connect, and empower. Thank you.
Thank you, Bulgaria. And now Angola, and followed by Cambodia. Sorry, Cambodia? Yeah, okay, Cambodia.
Muito obrigada, excelentíssima senhora Presidente, distintas parlamentares e distintos parlamentares, a todos os presentes. Vou basear a minha história no tema sobre solidariedade e inspiração. E começo por dizer que a minha história é uma história de determinação e solidariedade. Desde muito cedo aprendi com o meu pai que a educação é o maior legado que podemos receber e que a empatia nasce do reconhecimento das diferenças. Foi esse sentido de empatia que moldou toda a minha trajetória. Quando ainda menor, estando a residir há cerca de 7 meses em Portugal, decidi regressar sozinha a Angola após a independência, filo movida pelo desejo de servir o meu país e de contribuir para a construção de uma nova nação. Acredito que foi essa fé no futuro coletivo que me guiou e me manteve firme, mesmo nos momentos mais difíceis. Ao longo do caminho encontrei mulheres que me inspiraram e sustentaram. A minha mãe, amigas, colegas, verdadeiras irmãs, que me ajudaram a conciliar a maternidade, os estudos e a política. Aprendi que nenhuma mulher sobe sozinha. Subimos quando nos apoiamos mutuamente. Também encontrei homens aliados, como o meu pai, e mentores que reconheceram o meu trabalho e abriram portas, mostrando que a igualdade se constrói com todos, mas que a sororidade é o que nos mantém firmes. Hoje, a olhar para trás, sinto que o meu maior legado é provar que o conhecimento liberta e o compromisso transforma. E assim, sou deputada há pouco mais de 40 anos, tendo interrompido o mandato para desempenhar funções de vice-ministra do Planeamento e ministra do Comércio da República de Angola. Como propulsora da igualdade de género há 25 anos, A mensagem que quero deixar às jovens e às mães das jovens que hoje me ouvem: acreditem em vocês mesmas. Busquem educação e apoiem-se umas às outras, porque o futuro de qualquer país será tão forte quanto a união das suas mulheres. Muito obrigada pela atenção.
Thank you. Cambodia, followed by Bahrain.
Honorable Madam Chair, distinguished participants, it is my great honor to speak about the empowerment of Cambodian women through solidarity, inspiration, innovation, and peace. Over the past decades, Cambodia has shown the world that when peace takes root, everything else can grow. From the ashes of conflict, our nation has built stability, prosperity, and hope. And within that journey, Cambodian women have risen, not as victims of the past, but as leaders of the future, guiding communities, serving in government, building businesses, and shaping the destiny of our country. Gender equality is not only a matter of justice, it is the foundation of sustainable development. When women and men share equal opportunities to learn, to lead, and to contribute, our societies become stronger, fairer, and more innovative. In Cambodia, our government's unwavering commitment to gender equality is reflected in policies that promote education, entrepreneurship, and leadership. Today, Cambodian women are public servants and entrepreneurs, educators and innovators, using creativity and compassion to drive progress, support families, and uplift communities. But no woman succeeds alone. Behind every woman's achievement stands a network of solidarity, which is families, communities, and societies that believe in her. When women support one another, when men become true partners in equality and respect, progress becomes unstoppable. Each act of mentorship, each word of encouragement, each shared opportunity lights a spark, allowing every girl to see herself as capable, powerful, and free. Because solidarity ensures that no one is left behind. Above all, we must remember that peace is the foundation of all progress. Without peace, there can be no gender equality, no innovation, no inspiration, and no solidarity. Cambodia knows this truth deeply. After decades of war and suffering, dialogue and the win-win policy of our Samdech Techo Hun Sen brought peace without a single bullet fired. With peace, we rebuild from ashes. Guided by our pentagonal strategy, we lifted millions from poverty, expanded education and healthcare, empowered women and girls, and strengthened good governance. Yet today, our hard-won peace faces challenges from border tensions with a neighbor. Still, Cambodia has chosen dialogue over provocation and law over force. We remain firmly committed to peaceful resolution, mutual respect, and adherence to international law. We therefore call upon ASEAN and the international community to stand with us to defend peace, justice, and cooperation. Because peace anywhere strengthens us all, and peace for women means progress for humanity. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. Bahrain, followed by Pakistan.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شكرا سيدة الرئيسة، وأيضا شكرا على اختيار هذه المواضيع الثلاثة الحيوية. بلا شك نجمع جميعنا كدول على أن مسألة المساواة بين الجنسين وتكافؤ الفرص هي من الحقوق الإنسانية الأساسية التي نعمل عليها جميعاً. وأيضاً ندرك تماماً أن نسبة تواجد المرأة في الدول مختلفة، نسبة التحديات والمعوقات أيضاً تختلف من دولة إلى دولة. بالنسبة لنا في مملكة البحرين نعتز بأن مجال تمكين المرأة السياسي تم تحديده بموجب الدستور، وأيضا صدرت التشريعات المنظمة لهذا الجانب، بالإضافة إلى وجود آلية معنية بالمرأة تعني في مسألة التمكين السياسي والتدريب والتأهيل، خاصة للعام اللي انخرطوا في مجال الحياة البرلمانية، وهو المجلس الأعلى للمرأة بقيادة صاحبة السمو الأميرة سبيكة بنت إبراهيم آل خليفة. جميع التشريعات الدستورية التي ساندها جلالة الملك في مسألة إنفاذها وحسن التطبيق، وأيضا تخصيص الميزانيات النوعية المستجيبة لاحتياجات المرأة في هذا المجال. يلازمها أيضا في ذات الوقت أن لدينا ما هو نسعى له في كاقتراحات أتمنى أن يتم العمل لها في المحور الثالث تحديدا، وهو أن يكون العمل على تأسيس ودعم وتشجيع الفتيات للانخراط في العمل السياسي البرلماني، خلق التدريب والوعي الكافي بالنسبة لهم للبداية مثل هذه المشاركة على أسس سليمة ومدروسة، بالإضافة إلى الاهتمام بتوفير ميزانيات مخصصة لمجال التمكين السياسي في هذا المجال. لا توجد لدينا في منطقة تحديدا الدول العربية والخليجية أي قيود دينية أو مجتمعية تمنع من مسألة تولينا لمباشرة العمل السياسي. واسمحوا لي أحب أن أضيف شيء يتعلق بأخواتي وأخواني في الدول الخليج العربي، بدءا بالإمارات والسعودية وقطر وعمان والمملكة العربية السعودية والبحرين، بأننا فعلا كنساء خليجيات نفتخر جدا بأننا انتقلنا من مرحلة وجودنا كتمثيل إلى الآن وجدنا نفسنا في مسألة التمكين ومن ثم العمل على التأثير في المجتمع كمشاركة لنا في النساء. لم نصل كنساء خليجيات إلى هذا القدر إلا بفضل قادة دول مجلس التعاون الخليجي، وأيضا الأسرنا التي دعمتنا في فترة عملنا في فترة حملنا الولادة، وأيضا بوجود برامج ساندتنا لممارسة العمل السياسي وتشجيع الشراكة في العمل السياسي. وكل الشكر أيضا موصول إلى زملائنا الرجال في المجتمع وفي البرلمان الذين حظينا دوما بدعمهم ومساندتهم لتمثيلنا. لذلك فخورين بالنسبة الكبيرة والتي وصلت إليها شقيقتنا دولة الإمارات كنسبة مشاركة، وأيضا في المملكة العربية السعودية ووجودها أيضا في قطر بتمثيل جديد يعني في مجلس الشورى. ففعلا نحن فخورين بما وصلنا إليه. لدينا تحديات مختلفة ولكن قادرين على مواجهتها بإذن الله. شكرا.
Thank you. Pakistan and then Andorra, please.
Thank you. Honorable Chair, distinguished delegates, it is an honor to stand among women who are not only shaping policies but reshaping the very meaning of power. I represent Pakistan's upper house, the Senate, and I come from Balochistan, a land of immense resilience, rich diversity, and unshakable spirit. It is a province that has long struggled with deprivation, yet it continues to produce women's strength and courage to illuminate the path toward justice and equality. Through legislation, oversight, and advocacy, I have worked to transform promises of equality into measurable change. Being the chairperson of the Human Rights Functional Committee, my mission has been to ensure the voice of the marginalized, especially women, laborers, and vulnerable, and not just heard, but acted upon. I have authored and co-sponsored landmark bills, along with my female parliamentarians, from strengthening anti-rape laws and factory safety protections for female workers to empowering statutory bodies like the National Commissions on Human Rights and Status of Women. Our Mental Health Amendment Bill 2025 placed Pakistan among the few countries recognizing the right to psychological well-being, especially for women survivors of trauma, because justice must not only punish, it must heal. The Senate Human Rights Committee also has exposed and addressed critical issues: honor killings, bonded labor, mine workers exploitation, trafficking, child abuse, and climate-induced displacements, reaffirming that human rights are not abstract principles, they're the daily realities of our people. In 2024, I was privileged to lead Pakistan delegation to the United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination here in Geneva. The moment reaffirmed that Pakistan's women are not only participants in the global human rights conversation, we are shaping it. Every woman in public life knows that progress comes with resistance. I too have faced opposition from entrenched structures that prefer silence to change. But we have turned resistance into resilience by building bipartisan alliances, by legislating for safer digital spaces through the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Amendment Bill 2023, and by engaging men as partners in change, ensuring that gender justice becomes a shared national value, not a women's plea. Coming from Balochistan, I have learned that transformation begins quietly with inclusion, persistence, and visibility. Every time a woman from my province chairs a committee, drafts a reform, or stands up for justice, she breaks not just a barrier, she breaks history. True transformation, dear colleagues, is not about how much power we hold, but how much hope we inspire. It is not measured only in statistics, but in change mindsets, when girls no longer ask for permission to lead. Our responsibility as parliamentarians is to weave empathy into governance, integrity into institutions, and trust into our nation's future. Transformative leadership is moral courage, the courage to act when it is easier to stay silent. And together as women parliamentarians of the world, we embody that courage. I dedicate this reflection to the women of Pakistan who carry the weight of resilience every day and whose quiet strength continues to build the soul of our nation. Let us lead not through power but through purpose, not through dominance but through dignity, and let us build a world where gender no longer defines destiny but courage does. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now Andorra, followed by Rwanda.
Merci. Madame la Présidente, Mesdames et Messieurs les parlementaires, c'est un honneur de prendre la parole au nom d'un petit pays comme l'Andorre, où la proximité des citoyens et des institutions donne un sens concret au mot leadership. En 2025, l'Andorre compte la parité parfaite au Parlement, 14 femmes sur 28, et presque la parité au sein du gouvernement, avec 6 femmes en tant que ministres. Ces chiffres ne sont pas le fruit du hasard, ils résultent d'années de travail collectif et de légitimité conquise. Je voudrais juste informer qu'avant 1973, les femmes n'avaient pas le droit au suffrage universel. Mais la véritable transformation ne réside pas seulement dans la représentation numérique. Elle se mesure de manière dont nous exerçons le pouvoir. Être une femme en politique, c'est souvent devoir redéfinir ce pouvoir, le rendre plus à l'écoute, plus collaborateur et plus enraciné dans la réalité humaine. Pour nous, la parité peut devenir un levier pour améliorer la qualité du débat et des décisions. Quand la diversité des voix est garantie, la politique devient plus garantive, plus inclusive, plus ancrée dans le vécu des citoyens. Nous avons ainsi pu avancer sur des questions comme le bien-être numérique des jeunes ou le droit à l'oubli en matière de santé. La loi du sport, centrée sur la présence des femmes sportives également, et la loi de l'accessibilité universelle, des domaines où justement l'empathie, la compréhension des vulnérabilités ont un rôle essentiel. Face aux pressions et aux reculs qui menacent les droits des femmes dans le monde, notre responsabilité est double: résister et inspirer. Résister en refusant toute banalisation des discours sexistes, en ligne ou hors ligne. Et inspirer à travers des domaines influents comme l'éducation ou des institutions comme l'UIP, pour montrer que le pouvoir peut être exercé autrement, sans renoncer à la fermeté, et envoyer un message à travers la culture et sensibilité au genre. Merci.
Merci à vous.
Thank you. Rwanda, followed by Cyprus.
Honorable Chairperson, Excellencies, dear colleagues, good afternoon. I would like to start by expressing my sincere gratitude to the leadership of the Forum of Women Parliamentarians for this important opportunity to share the experience on the theme, Transformative Leadership, Building a More Equal World in one's spheres of power. My testimony is showcasing how the transformative leadership of Rwanda that aims at leaving no one behind uplifts everyone's life, particularly that of a Rwandan woman. In my country, the promotion of gender equality and women empowerment is a collective commitment where women and men work together to build inclusive society. Under the leadership of the President Paul Kagame, Rwanda has created a conducive environment to live in and to operate in. We are committed to promote equal rights for men and women. Where need is, some affirmative actions and programs are adopted to speed up the pace for enjoyment of rights for women, specifically where they are lagging behind. Policies and laws grant women the right to participate in the politics. They protect them from gender-based violence, ensure equal rights to land and inheritance, ensure access to finance, and more importantly, promote girls' education. Before 1994, a Rwandan woman was suffering from gender stereotypes, GBV, limited access to financial resources, and was almost absent in leadership. Today, a Rwandan woman has changed the narrative. She changed the name. For instance, she used to be a victim of GBV. Now she is a don't touch. She used to be always led. Now she is a leader, and she is an influential leader. As a matter of fact, in the political sphere, Rwanda is the first country in the world with female majority in parliament, with 63.75% in the Chamber of Deputies and 53.8% in the Senate. Excellencies, dear colleagues, in conclusion, I would like to affirm that the progress made in promoting women's rights in Rwanda is a result of good governance. Rwandan Parliament, through parliamentary diplomacy, is ready to share its experience with other national parliaments which so wish in promoting and empowering women for a more equal world in one sphere of power. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you. Now Philippines, followed by South Africa.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Warm greetings of solidarity, distinguished parliamentarians across the world. I am Sarah Elago, a representative of Gabriela Women's Party in the House of Representatives in the Philippines. Our women-led and women-organized party is named after Gabriela Silang, a revolutionary hero who fought for independence from colonial rule. As for this representation, I first entered Congress in 2016 as its youngest lady legislator, representing the youth for 2 terms. This year, I am back with a fresh mandate as Assistant Minority Leader, and this time with the Women's Party that is proudly celebrating its 25th year of service and struggle. We have witnessed how a woman's rights can be meaningless if she is hungry, landless, or paid slave wages. That is why our work is rooted in economic justice. We don't just file bills. We file bills that demand living wages for workers, land for the farmers who feed our nation, support for the fisher folk who brave the seas, better local job creation and industry development to end forced labor migration. We fight for budgets that build more quality public hospitals in pursuit of zero maternal deaths. We scrutinize every peso to ensure that aid for a single mother is not lost to corruption. On social media, we persevere in turning hashtags into real help for communities. In the streets, we march alongside peasant women demanding fair prices for their crops, and with urban poor mothers fighting demolition of their houses. Throughout the history of our Women's Party, we have learned that when you uplift the woman in the most remote village or the most exploited factory, you uplift her entire community. We strive to lead side by side with the marginalized women and the people. We legislate with the women we represent. We hold consultations in community centers, markets, even transport terminals, and every space where we can listen to their concerns, demands, criticism, and their aspirations. This fight involves everyone, including men and boys, as partners and allies. Gabriella's track record shows that persistence bears fruit. We were instrumental in passing landmark laws like the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children, the Occupational Health and Safety Standards, and the Online Sexual Abuse and Exploitation of Children laws. However, these laws are almost always just beginnings. The deeper work is changing the culture of sexism and discrimination that allows violence to happen in the first place. And that battle is fought every day in every home, every school, every workplace, even in parliamentary and policy-making spaces. And lastly, how do we counter the growing pushback against women's rights? Holding the line and counting on every member and every supporter. We rely on the greatest strength we have, our collective power. Because when our rights are attacked, when our critical dissenting voices are being silenced, we respond not just with parliamentary speeches, but with the parliament of the streets, with protests, educational discussions, and the use of creative forms like dance and murals to make our voices heard. We have launched a Defend Filipino Women campaign to promote meaningful women's participation, to protect fundamental freedoms of speech, association, and assembly, which are essential for any democracy. So, dear colleagues, the challenges we face are global, and so our solidarity must be too. And so I humbly ask for your support. When you hear about the struggles of Filipino women, speak out, share our stories. Let us continue to build a world where every woman, and every girl can live in dignity, justice, and peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippines. South Africa, followed by Turkey.
Thank you, Chairperson. Allow me to share the story about transforming leadership. As the chair of the Select Committee on Security and Justice, I wish to state that since the inauguration of the 7th Parliament in 2024, the committee has consistently addressed the profound gendered dimensions of issues brought before us. These include crime and gangsterism, immigration and border management, judicial and magistrate oversight, policing and government infrastructure maintenance. For example, crime and gangsterism, women and girls are disproportionately affected by the gender-based violence, including domestic violence, sexual assault, and femicide. Gang violence often intensifies the risk, particularly in vulnerable communities. We also recognize that women face significant barriers in accessing justice, including fear of retaliation and social stigma. Immigration and border management, female migrants are especially vulnerable to human trafficking, sexual exploitation, and abuse. They also face greater challenges in accessing healthcare, legal aid, and employment due to gender discrimination and caregiving responsibilities. In terms of judicial and magistrate oversight, the lack of gender diversity in the judiciary can affect the sensitivity and fairness of rulings, particularly in GBVF and as well family law cases. Systematic bias can also impact outcomes in sentencing and custody matters. In terms of policy and correctional services, women in correctional facilities facing unique challenges, including access to healthcare, hygiene products, and protection from abuse. In broader policing, women many experiences discrimination practices and inequalities. In recognition of these realities, I have made it a standing directive that all departments appearing before this committee must include demographics and gender disaggregated data in their briefings. We have made sure that this includes that data on service delivery programs and projects to ensure that we can assess the differential impacts of government intervention, and promote inclusive, equitable, and gender-responsive governance that are positively impacting the realities of the society. The committee remains committed to ensuring that our oversight work contributes meaningfully to the safety, dignity, and empowering of all, particularly women and girls, and not leaving a boy child behind. Just to mention the few, we've got activities that we do in terms of 16 days of activism, and as well Orange Day on the 25th of every month, where everybody is lobbied to wear an orange color as a symbolic sign that they stand against GBVF. We have as well a program that promotes 7Bs, which is books before boys, because boys bring babies. That particular program is specifically for zero tolerance in terms of teenage pregnancy. But lastly, is to make sure that young girls, they understand the importance of books, bursaries, and as well ensure that they are at the forefront of championing their interest. I thank you.
Thank you. Turkey, followed by China. Turkey.
Türkiye. Çok kıymetli başkanım. Can you hear me from translation? Is it okay? Çok kıymetli başkanım, çok teşekkür ediyorum. Çok kıymetli arkadaşlar. Burada çok önemli fikirler gerçekten dile getirildi. Tüm fikirleri beyan eden arkadaşlarıma teşekkür ediyorum. Çok dinamik ve çok etkin bir ortam. Ben genel anlamda istediğimiz düzeyde siyaset katılımı, istediğimiz düzeyde karar vericiler olarak görev almadığımızın hepimiz farkındayız kadınlar olarak. Ve maalesef dünyada bizim arzuladığımız o temel barış, adalet, yoksulluktan uzak kalma ya da temel insani ihtiyaçların karşılanması anlamında belki kötümser bir şey olacak ama çok da iyiye gitmediğini de hepimiz görüyoruz. Şunu gösteriyor bu, kadınların daha etkin olması, daha güçlü olması, daha büyük mücadeleler vermesi ve elde ettikleri haklar sayesinde dünya çok daha güzel bir yer olacak. Hepimiz buna inanıyoruz. Ben de buna gönülden inanıyorum ve kızıma da her seferinde bunu söylüyorum. Daha çok mücadele, çok önemli. Maalesef dünyada hakikaten barış anlamında çok sıkıntılı bir süreçteyiz. Birçok bölgede çatışmalar devam ediyor. Belki çok kez dile getirildi ama tekrar söylemek lazım. Özellikle Gazze'de gerçekten çok sıkıntılı. Hem cinslerimiz çok sıkıntılı. Çok büyük mücadele veriyorlar kadınlar, çocukları için. Türkiye olarak önemli bir sürece destek olduk. Şarm El Şeyh'teki süreçte Mısır ve çok kıymetli Katar'ın da katılımıyla. Bu sürecin devam etmesi için sizlerin ateşkesin devam etmesi, oradaki insanların sadece insani şeylere ulaşması için bile hepimizin desteğine, hepimizin gözetimine ihtiyaçları var. Bu anlamda desteğinizi istiyorum. Biz Türkiye olarak hem Gazze'li kadınları, çocukları 2326 sayısı kadar muhafaza ediyoruz. Üstelik sadece yiyecek ve tamamen barışçıl bir niyetle yola çıkan Sumut Filosu'nda da birçok kadın aktivist vardı. Ve içlerinde de bir kadın milletvekilimiz vardı, Türk kadın milletvekilimiz. Onunla da gurur duyduğumuzu buradan dile getirmek istiyorum. Ve sizlerin desteğinizi tekrar burada yinelemek istiyorum. Oradaki sürecin sağlıklı bir şekilde devam etmesi için çok teşekkür ediyorum başkanım.
Thank you. Now China, followed by Chad.
主席，各位同事，我来自中国，是全国人大环境与资源保护委员会的副主任委员，很荣幸能够在这里发言。妇女是人类文明的开创者，社会进步的推动者，保障妇女参政议政，是激发一个国家半数人口主人翁意识的积极举措。中国政府始终统筹推进妇女事业与经济社会同步发展，男女平等基本国策和儿童优先原则得到全面落实。中国的选举法规定，全国人民代表大会和地方各级人民代表大会的代表应当有适当数量的妇女代表。目前，在全国人大代表中， 女性代表的人数占比达到26.5%，比上一届提高了1.6个百分点。在这里，我愿意和大家分享一下中国在保障妇女平等的政治权利、推动妇女参政议政方面的一些做法。一、完善法治保障，为妇女参政议政保驾护航。中国建立了包括《妇女权益保障法》等100多部法律法规在内的全面保障妇女法律权益的法律体系。《妇女权益保障法》对国家重视培养和选拔女干部，特别是少数民族的女干部，做了专门的规定。一方面，要求国家机关、群团组织、企业事业单位培养、选拔和任用干部，应当坚持男女平等的原则，并且有适当数量的妇女担任领导成员。另一方面，妇女联合会以及团体会员可以向国家机关、群团组织、企业和事业单位推荐女干部。二是强化能力建设，提高妇女参政议政能力和水平。中国针对女性干部的自身特点，开展专题特色培训，切实提高女性参政议政的能力。例如，依托各级党校、行政学院和高等院校开展教育培训，进一步提高女干部的履职能力。在新当选的村、社区妇联主席以及妇联组织为主体，培养一批具有一定参政议政能力的基层妇女的领头雁和先进的基层组织。三、加强宣传引导，为妇女参政议政营造良好氛围，积极宣传男女平等观念，最大限度调动广大妇女的积极性、主动性和创造性，增强她们的获得感、幸福感和安全感，树立性别平等的政治参与观，积极宣传女性领导干部在公共事务决策管理中的作用，逐渐改善妇女参政的环境，激发妇女自身内在的参政意愿。朋友们，性别平等和妇女赋权已成为联合国2030年可持续发展议程的重要目标。本月的13号，全球妇女峰会刚刚在中国成功举办，习近平主席出席开幕式并发表重要讲话。此次峰会恰逢《北京宣言》和行动纲领通过30周年，中方同与会各方共商全球妇女事业发展大计，共筑更可持续的妇女赋能平台，推动妇女在全球治理中发挥更大作用，为促进全球性别平等和妇女事业全面发展注入了新的动力。我在这里也非常高兴地告诉大家，今天上午到28号，中国全国人大正在以加强立法机构交流合作，推进全球妇女事业发展为主题，举办了非洲女性议员研讨班。这是全球妇女峰会后举办的针对妇女事业的首个议员的研讨班。中国全国人大愿意加强与各国立法机构在性别平等领域的交流与合作，传承和弘扬北京世妇会精神，加速妇女全面发展新进展，为构建人类命运共同体汇聚更加强劲的巾帼力量。谢谢大家。
Thank you. Chad, followed by Dominican Republic.
Muy buenas tardes.
Chad is not here?
Merci.
Okay.
Oui.
Please.
Merci.
The floor is yours.
Madame la Présidente, je vous remercie. Le Tchad, oui. Le Tchad. Oui, voilà. Je vous remercie. C'est un véritable honneur de prendre la parole devant ces femmes leaders fortes et courageuses. Chers collègues, je ne viens pas des salons du pouvoir. Je viens plutôt des villages du Tchad, des salles de classe, des dispensaires. Avant cet hémicycle, j'ai tenu la main des filles qu'on voulait marier très tôt et celles à qui l'on refusait l'école. Des femmes qu'on tentait de faire taire lorsqu'elles réclamaient leurs droits. Là, j'ai compris une chose simple. L'urgence ne se gère pas, elle se transforme par la loi. J'ai fondé une ONG pour l'autonomisation des femmes et des filles et contre le mariage précoce. Sur le terrain, j'ai vu des talents brisés par des règles injustices. Alors, j'ai franchi la porte de la politique pour agir sur les causes, les lois, les budgets, les normes et passer du secours à la solution durable. Mes premiers soutiens ont été celles et ceux qu'on appelle vulnérables. Ils connaissent mon engagement. Ils m'ont prêté leur voix, puis leur confiance, et nous le ressentons aujourd'hui. Au haut niveau de l'État, ce combat est devenu une priorité nationale. Les autres autorités en ont fait un axe majeur, et notre président de la République a assuré un suivi ferme. Le quota d'au moins 30% de représentativité des femmes n'est pas un slogan. Il produit des résultats visibles. Notre Assemblée nationale compte 36% des femmes, notre Sénat 34%. Ce sont des avancées réelles. Elles m'ont encouragée à me présenter, parce qu'un quota ne vit que s'il traduit en visage, en voix et en voix. Les obstacles demeurent pourtant. Une culture politique parfois fermée, des stéréotypes tenaces. Attends, ce n'est pas pour toi. Ma réponse a été constante. Travailler, prouver, tenir, prouver par les dossiers, par les résultats, par la présence sur le terrain. Le numérique, lui, a été un levier et un champ de bataille. Il nous relie directement à toutes les couches de la population, surtout aux jeunes. Il renforce notre crédibilité. Il nous oblige à la transparence. Chaque jour, des femmes nous écrivent pour témoigner, pour demander de l'aide, pour dire « continuez ». Mais la violence basée sur les genres en ligne est bien réelle. Elle intimide, elle isole et elle fait taire. Nous ne la normalisons pas. Nous documentons, nous signalons, nous poursuivons lorsqu'il faut. Et surtout, nous ne laissons aucune femme seule. Mon cap reste le même, sur le terrain à l'hémicycle. Servir, protéger, ouvrir des possibilités. Poursuivre l'effort national engagé au sommet de l'État. Consolider des acquis du quota en les transformant en responsabilités, en budget, en résultats concrets et pour les citoyens et les citoyennes. Et tenir l'espace numérique avec la même rigueur que l'espace institutionnel afin que l'ambition d'une femme ne soit jamais un risque, mais une force pour la République. Je suis entrée en politique pour que chaque fille au Tchad puisse choisir sa vie. Continuons ensemble à faire reculer les obstacles et à faire avancer l'égalité. Merci.
Dominican Republic, followed by India.
Muy buenas tardes. En nombre de la delegación de la República Dominicana, quiero enviar un efusivo saludo a todos los parlamentarios y parlamentarias que asisten a esta asamblea de la Unión Interparlamentaria. Para nosotros es un honor y un privilegio poder compartir aquí y me encuentro con Julio César, Juan Bolívar, diputados, Liliana Pavón y la senadora de la provincia Hermanas Mirabal, quien les habla, María Mercedes Ortiz. La provincia Hermanas Mirabal, quiero resaltar ese territorio porque es la tierra de mujeres valientes que ofrendaron sus vidas por la libertad, por la democracia y por los derechos de la mujer. Y hoy estoy aquí alzando mi voz porque mujeres como ellas se atrevieron a dar un paso al frente. Pero además, el 25 de noviembre es declarado Día Internacional de la Erradicación de la Violencia contra la Mujer en todo el mundo y en honor a esas 3 mujeres que nacieron en el pueblo donde yo nací, Salcedo. Y quiero compartir con ustedes que ese estado de valentía y compromiso es el que me permite estar aquí. Y compartir con ustedes que la violencia nos ha tocado de frente, pero no ha sido un límite en el ascenso a las posiciones de elección popular. Fui alcaldesa a los 33 años de edad y fue una carrera que inicié de manera muy difícil, llena de espinas, pero también tengo que resaltar las grandes oportunidades que tuve. Pero eso no fue una limitante, porque ser joven y ser mujer en la política muchas veces en nuestras sociedades constituye un delito. Sin embargo, fue la capacidad de compromiso, mi trabajo frente al pueblo, mi honestidad y mi capacidad 24/7 de trabajar con amor y por amor a la gente que me permitió en 142 años de fundación del municipio de Salcedo convertirme en la primera mujer reelecta. Y eso lo comparto con mucho orgullo, porque la clave está en persistir, en resistir, en ser un estímulo para las demás, en convertirse en un puente para que las demás puedan accesar a posiciones de poder y que podamos nosotras, lejos de sentir los espacios disuasorios que tenemos, pensar en los grandes retos y desafíos, pero también en las grandes oportunidades. Hoy soy la primera mujer que me convierto en senadora de la provincia de esas 3 heroínas y he asumido con gran valentía y con gran responsabilidad el ser la voz de ese territorio. Y en nombre de la República Dominicana quiero invitar a cada una de las mujeres que están aquí a que más allá de los obstáculos, más allá de las barreras que podamos tener, pasemos del banco de las lamentaciones al banco de las propuestas, de ver cuántas cosas podemos alcanzar y de seguir siendo un estímulo para aquellas que aún tienen miedo, que puedan dar un paso al frente y que no sientan que la política es tan difícil. Es verdad que hay obstáculos, pero esos retos y desafíos muestran que hoy todas las que estamos aquí tenemos una historia que contar. Sin embargo, la violencia no está de frente a cada una de nosotras, la violencia política, la violencia en las redes sociales, que hoy son grandes desafíos que tenemos en nuestros países. Sin importar la religión, sin importar el país, la violencia sigue dando de frente a cada una de nosotras. Sin embargo, quiero limitarme a que las oportunidades se construyen sobre la base de persistir, de resistir, de que cada golpe nos dé fuerza para nosotras seguir hacia adelante y que podamos seguir con la frente en alto diciendo que es posible y que desde las posiciones que los pueblos y la vida nos den la oportunidad poder hacerlo bien y poder ser un referente para que muchas mujeres decidan insertarse en la vida política. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. India, followed by Liechtenstein.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, Namaskar. Myself, Kamaljeet Shehrawat, an elected Member of Parliament of India, representing the West Delhi constituency, which comprises of more than 2.5 million voters. Distinguished delegates, I commence my public service journey as a member of South Delhi Municipal Corporation, where I got the opportunity to serve as a mayor of SDMC. My journey from urban local bodies of governments to the national legislature stand not merely as a personal accomplishment, but as a testament of my inclusiveness and transformative power of India's robust democratic institution. My story is just one among many. Across India, numerous inspiring women leaders have transcended barriers and assumed positions of leadership, enabling by progressive and inclusive legislation enacted by our Parliament. These success stories underscore India's commitment to strengthening democracy through participation, representation, and equality, especially for women. I am happy to state that our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, government has introduced the bill Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, which reserve 1/3 of seats for women in the House of People and the state legislative assemblies. Under his leadership, the focus has shifted from women welfare to women-led development, which promote the women leadership in every sphere as central to achieving national progress. Our flagship initiatives such as Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Save the Girl Child, Educate the Girl Child, seeks to improve the child-sex ratio and promote girls' education. Mission Shakti, focus on women's safety, security, and empowerment across their life circle. Above this, economic inclusion remains a cornerstone of our efforts. The Stand Up India scheme facilitates credit for women entrepreneurship across sectors, fostering entrepreneurship, livelihood, and inclusive growth. Similarly, under the Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Mission, over 100 million women have been mobilized into more than 9 million self-help groups, fostering financial independence and community leadership. Only 1 minute, ma'am. The great schemes are there, ma'am, for that only. Besides this, our government has started flagship schemes named Skill India and PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Under this, millions of women trained in job-related skills like digital literacy, tailoring, healthcare, and these type of work. I can proudly say that now, our Bharat have the broader vision from women development to women-led development.
Thank you.
Only 1 minute, ma'am.
Thank you.
When women prospers, our PM said, when women prospers, the world prospers, and our government is working on this philosophy with strong resolve and remarkable pace.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaskar, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Now Liechtenstein, followed by Iran.
Dear colleagues, I'm representing Liechtenstein, the 6th smallest country worldwide in the middle of Europe, with only 40,000 inhabitants. For me, the question of solidarity and inspiration is central to advancing women in politics. Liechtenstein has recently made significant progress in this regard. I'm pleased to report that since the 2025 elections in February of this year, our parliament has seen the proportion of women rise to 32%, which means 8 out of 25 seats. Furthermore, we have achieved a historic milestone by having, for the first time, a female head of government and a deputy head of government leading our administration. In my opinion, this success is no coincidence. It is also the result of targeted efforts toward promotion and empowerment. Initiatives like the NGO project Diversity in Politics has been instrumental in boosting the visibility, electoral chances, and cross-party solidarity of aspiring female politicians, while showcasing strong role models. Such networks are, as we all know, crucial on our journey. We are now looking ahead. The development of a comprehensive gender equality strategy is currently on the agenda of the responsible ministry. The Department of Gender Equality is already engaged in a wide range of supportive activities, and all women's organizations anticipate that the subsequent implementation of this strategy will deliver significant progress towards full equality. In Liechtenstein, we are committed to utilizing our sphere of influence to continue supporting one another and ensuring that the next generation of women receives the inspiration and solidarity needed to pursue long and successful political careers. Thank you.
Dear members, with great apologies, we have to reduce the time to 2 minutes. So the next on the list are Iran and the United Kingdom. they will still have 3 minutes, but after the delegations after that, they will have 2 minutes to allow us to end on time. So Oman, Ireland, Burkina Faso, Mozambique, Germany, Bhutan, Burundi, Canada, New Zealand, Suriname, Serbia, Maldives. Please bear with us, and if at all possible, you could reduce your speaking time to 2 minutes. We would be very grateful. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Iran, please, followed by United Kingdom.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. همکاران محترم، زنان نقشی برجسته در توسعه و پیشرفت کشورها ایفا می‌کنند. در جمهوری اسلامی ایران تحولات مثبت بسیاری در حوزه ارتقاء حقوق زنان رخ داده است که از جمله آنها افزایش حضور زنان در پست‌های مدیریتی و اجرایی است. در کشور ما طی 4 دهه گذشته زنان شاهد تحولاتی برجسته در راستای حقوق خود بودند. دهه اول مربوط به سالهای بعد از انقلاب اسلامی در سال 1979 بود که به واسطه آن جنبش سراسری سوادآموزی آغاز شد و ریشه‌کنی بیسوادی در کشور به قدرت بالایی به پیش برده شد. تحول دوم بعد از جنگ 8 ساله تحمیلی علیه ایران بود که فرصت بیشتری برای اختصاص هزینه‌ها برای مسائل توسعه‌ای ایجاد شد و برهه سوم مربوط به سالهای اخیر است که در جریان آن فرصت‌های مدیریتی بیشتری برای زنان فراهم شد. من به عنوان یک نماینده زن در مجلس شورای اسلامی ایران از نزدیک شاهد دغدغه‌مندی مجلس و دولت در راستای تحقق حقوق اساسی مردم در راستای چارچوب‌های فرهنگی و اسلامی کشورم میباشم. برای ما پیشرفت زنان به معنی پیشرفت جامع و مشمول است، پیشرفتی که در کنار آن کل خانواده به رشد و تعالی برسد. حضار محترم، تلاش‌های معنادار، جامع و مشمول ما مستمر بوده و ادامه خواهد داشت. در ابتدای انقلاب اسلامی ایران در سال 1979 تنها 35% از زنان تحصیل کرده بودند، در حالی که امروزه این تعداد به 85% رسیده است که این اهم نشانگر ارتقای جایگاه زنان در جمهوری اسلامی است. همچنین در حوزه تحصیلات دانشگاهی بیش از 2 دهه است که 50% ترکیب دانشگاه را زنان تشکیل دادند و حدوداً 30% از مدیریت‌های عالی رتبه به زنان تخصیص یافته است. امروزه بالای 27% از اعضای هیئت علمی دانشگاه‌های ما زنان و 30% از پزشکان را نیز جامعه زنان تشکیل داده است، به طوری که تمام این عرصه‌ها همچنان رو به رشد است و هیچ مانعی برای حضور زنان در این رشته‌ها و عرصه‌ها وجود ندارد. علاوه بر این، زنان در انتخابات شهر و روستا موفق شدند تا ریاست شورا و مناصب شهرداری را به دست آورند که این امر نشان می‌دهد حضور زنان در جامعه مدنی معنادار است. در خاتمه تمایل دارم در خصوص نکته شفاف‌سازی نمایم. خانم رایس، نماینده پارلمان آلمان، در اظهارات خود روایتی وارانه‌ای از تحولات ایران و زنان ایران را ارائه کردند که تمایل دارم به آن پاسخ دهم. نماینده آلمان: نیازی نیست نگران وضعیت زنان ایران باشد. آلمان همین که ارسال تسلیحات کشنده به اسرائیل را متوقف کند و مانع کشتار بیشتر زنان و کودکان بی سلاح و بیگناه غزه شود کافی است. تمایل دارم به اعضای حاضر در جلسه اطلاع دهم که آلمان در سال 1980 و در جریان جنگ تحمیلی 8 ساله علیه ایران با حمایت‌های خود از متجاوز و تحویل سلاح‌های شیمیایی به آنان زنان و کودکان ما را به خاک و خون کشید. همین کشور طی 40 سال گذشته با همراهی در تحریم‌های ناجوانمردانه مانع از ورود دارو و تجهیزات پزشکی برای زنان و کودکان شده است. در خاتمه ما نگرانی خود را نسبت به وضعیت زنکشی در آلمان ابراز می‌داریم و از نمایندگان این کشور می‌خواهیم به جای نگرانی نسبت به سایر کشورها برای مشکلات ملی خود چاره‌جویی کنند. با تشکر.
Thank you. United Kingdom, followed by Oman.
Thank you, everybody. It's a pleasure to speak in this panel discussion on the theme of inspiring and supporting women. In 2028 in the UK, we will be celebrating the centenary of the extension of fully equal voting rights to women. Women MPs in the UK are marking this moment with a centenary action campaign with two aims: to inspire more women and girls to get involved in politics and to achieve a diverse and gender equal parliament by 2028. Now, this historic campaign is led by a woman, Helen Pankhurst, from an historic British family. Helen is the great-granddaughter of Emmeline Pankhurst and the granddaughter of Sylvia Pankhurst, who were leaders of the British suffragette movement, inspired by their political sisters in New Zealand. Their insistence a century ago that we needed deeds, not words, paved the way for electoral reform that had been blocked for decades. These women inspired me and many others. Now, the Centenary Action Campaign has created a coalition of 100 organisations from the UK representing millions of women to advocate for gender parity in Parliament. Today, 40% of UK MPs are women. I'm proud to be one of them, but that's good, but that's not good enough, as we all know. So along with members of the British group of the IPU, I'll be ensuring that our campaign connects with and learns from the IPU's own Action by Action mission for parliamentary equality around the world. And like many MPs, I'll continue to work with our own parliamentary outreach teams to host events for local young people that give them the chance to discuss what matters most to them, because that's how we bring people into politics. So thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to share some very specific examples of actions we're taking to promote gender equality and strengthen democracy more widely. Thank you.
Thank you, United Kingdom. Now Oman, followed by Ireland, and please 2 minutes.
Madam Chairperson, distinguished delegates, as an Omani woman, I am proud to come from a nation where Oman's participation in leadership has grown steadily, guided by vision that sees women and men as equal partners in building our society. In fact, just 2 days ago, Oman celebrated Omani Women's Day, which we celebrate every year, to recognize the women's achievements in Oman. Transformative leadership is about shaping a world that is fair, inclusive, and forward-looking. It is leadership that listens, empowers, and builds bridges across societies and generations. In my own sphere of influence, particularly within the State Council of Oman, I have sought to ensure that women's perspectives are integrated into national decision-making, not as a symbolic gesture, but as an essential element of sustainable progress. In the digital sphere, I strive to amplify women's voices and highlight their contribution to our nation's ongoing development. However, advanced women's rights is seldom without challenges, pushbacks, whether cultural structure or attitudinal persists. My approach has been confront such resistance through dialogue, data, and diplomacy. Ultimately, transformative leadership is not about holding power, it's about sharing power. When women lead with integrity, vision, and compassion, they do not simply advance themselves, they uplift entire society. Through such leadership, we do not just change policies, we change mindsets, and with them, the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Oman. Ireland, followed by Burkina Faso.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Chairperson and colleagues. Delighted to be here to represent the Senate in Ireland as the Deputy Speaker of the Senate and only the second Deputy Speaker in over 100 years. I suppose we've come a long way in Ireland since 1918, when voting rights were given to women at the age of 30. And in 1919, we elected our first female parliamentarian. Since that, we've elected 151 parliamentarians, and currently there is approximately 26% of our parliament are females. But in the Senate where I sit, we actually have a 45% participation, and that's quite high. We're moving towards the 50%. I suppose also in terms of our government supporting females, they brought in things like gender quotas to encourage female participation in both local and national politics, but also in terms of board membership. And there's now almost 28% of senior management positions on boards are held by females. Currently, we have 3 cabinet ministers that are female, and we've had 2 female presidents out of 9. And currently, next Friday, we will elect a new president, and we actually have 2 female candidates running, and they're the only candidates. Ireland set up a programme called Irish Aid, where we support women in human rights, and certainly it has been very, very successful in terms of universal respect for human rights. Gender equality is at the heart of the development cooperation, and they work alongside the they fund projects that are dedicated to achieving gender equality in growing countries, and they work to end gender-based violence and strengthen women's organisations and support the Zimbabwe Institute to build inter-parliamentary dialogue on enhancing women and young people's participation in politics. And so we really have come a long way in Ireland, but I'd like to leave you with a quotation, and it's from Oprah Winfrey. And the world's most prominent women leaders show the importance of honesty, courage, important and decisive action in leadership. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Ireland. Burkina Faso, followed by Mozambique.
I couldn't read half my own, right?
Merci de m'avoir donné la parole. La famille est la cellule de base de toute société. Alors, l'éducation de base d'un enfant est dans la famille. La femme est au centre de toute éducation. Elle forme, elle éduque. Elle est mère, elle est éducatrice. Ce qui veut dire que la femme est au centre de tout. Le leadership transformationnel permet à la femme de se faire valoir. Elle doit se former en politique, être courageux, être confiante, avoir confiance en soi-même. Aucune femme ne doit être laissée pour compte. En ce sens, les femmes vulnérables doivent être encouragées, notamment les femmes qui vivent avec un handicap. On doit les encourager à participer aux formations, aux sensibilisations et pourquoi pas occuper des postes de responsabilité. Elle doit faire valoir ses compétences. Les femmes doivent se soutenir, quel que soit le bord politique. Nous devons nous tenir la main dans la main. On doit responsabiliser les hommes dans les activités du genre. On ne doit pas laisser également les hommes de côté. En tant que député, encourager à voter des lois dans le cadre du genre. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup. Now Mozambique, followed by Germany.
Muito obrigada, Senhora Presidente. A igualdade de gênero não é apenas um direito humano fundamental, é também um pilar para um desenvolvimento da sociedade mais livre, justa e sustentável. A participação de mulheres em posição de liderança é essencial pois elas trazem perspectivas únicas e contribuem significativamente para o progresso. Moçambique tem registrado consideráveis avanços na promoção da igualdade de género, com os compromissos assumidos a nível internacional e regional, incorporados internamente através de legislação e políticas nacionais que são materializados em planos e programas nacionais. Contudo, essas conquistas são passíveis de retroceder devido ao impacto dos fenômenos climáticos, do terrorismo em alguns distritos do norte do país, entre outros desafios. Os ganhos incluem a aprovação e reforço de um conjunto de leis e estratégias que, entre outros, previnem e sancionam eficazmente a violência baseada no gênero, as uniões prematuras e promovem a criação de um ambiente facilitador para a permanência da rapariga na escola. A transposição interna dos compromissos internacionais está refletida, nomeadamente, na Constituição de Moçambique, a qual estabelece que as mulheres e os homens têm os mesmos direitos sociais, políticos e econômicos. Reconhecemos que, no nosso país, há claro avanço das políticas que propiciam a igualdade de gênero. Contudo, há ainda um longo caminho a percorrer para a plena concretização dos direitos das mulheres e raparigas. Queremos usar desta plataforma para reafirmar o nosso compromisso com a cooperação e o reforço de estratégias que promovam a igualdade do gênero. Pela atenção dispensada, o nosso muito obrigada.
Thank you. I would like to take your permission to oppose our debate and welcome the Secretary General and Mrs. Katie Kraft. Dear colleagues, I would like us to turn to the presentation of a new resource designed to help assemblies and institutions embed gender equality in their daily work. For that, I welcome Mr. Martin Chongong, the IPU Secretary General, Chair of the Global Board of the International Gender Champions, and Ms. Caitlin Kraft-Bushman, CEO and founder of Women at the Table and co-founder of International Gender Champions.
Hello. Yes, hello. Thank you.
So now, they are with us to launch the second edition of the Gender Responsive Assemblies Toolkit. You can find copies of the toolkit available at the entrance. Mr. Secretary General, it's a pleasure to have you with us, and I give you the floor right now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for giving me the floor. I welcome this opportunity to be with you again this afternoon. I was here this morning, and I am glad that I'm able to come back to deliver a very important service to a cause that we all believe in, a very noble one, gender equality. And in so doing, we are able to launch something that helps us all to walk the talk. We do preach gender equality. We do say how it is very important and essential but maybe we don't pay enough attention to how we promote gender equality. And as they say, charity begins at home. And so we at the IPU, and also, and I speak on behalf of the IPU, and as you said, Madam Chair, the International Gender Champions, we together are working to make sure that gender equality is not just words, it's not a set of platitudes, but it's reality. And we do this from a position of strength because each and every one of us, especially those that are members of the International Gender Champions, those who are members of the IPU, have it within their power to influence, move the needle, and make sure that we achieve our common objectives. So I would like to salute the women leaders present here, but also my colleagues of the International Gender Champions Group. Caitlin, welcome, and Amanda, my very good friend, thank you. Always a champion of the IPU and gender equality. We are so pleased to be able to launch this toolkit that you announced a moment ago. And we do so convinced that the work that women parliamentarians are doing, and by extension men parliamentarians, has inspired progress in the world today. And this progress can be felt beyond just the realm of parliaments themselves. We have shown what representation can do if representation is diversity, which representation is an opportunity to capture the strength of our societies. And so it's an honor for me to be part of those in this global community that are contributing to the endeavor of gender equality. Today, as you introduced me, Madam Chair, I'm not only Secretary General of the IPU, but I'm also Chair of the Global Board of International Gender Champions. This group of leaders across the world who have committed to taking action in their sphere of influence in order to make gender equality a living reality by walking the talk. So today we are launching an instrument, a tool that we hope can help all of us, will continue to help all of us because we are not, this is not the first edition of the Gender Responsive Assemblies Toolkit. This is a second iteration of this toolkit. We are pleased to launch it here today. We did so in New York recently during the United Nations General Assembly High-Level Week, and we are pleased that we can bring it to you here today. And we do this on the understanding that, yes, we all have a goal to achieve, but we should not assume that everybody has the same level of skills or knowledge or norms that would allow them to do what we are preaching, gender equality. So we have sought to bring this toolkit to your attention for you to use. It is based on the experience of institutions that are represented within the International Gender Champions Network, including the Inter-parliamentary Union. And these are institutions that have made real progress towards inclusion in the multilateral space. It is based on the fact that when environments are enabling, leadership is shared equally, and decisions deliberately advance gender equality. So this is a toolkit, it is a guide, it's meant, as its name implies, it's a guide, but it's also a call to ambition. It sets clear standards. This Gender Responsive Assemblies Toolkit, it sets clear standards for inclusive assemblies. When we look at the configuration of the current assembly here, we see a diversity of women and men sitting together, young people being present together with those of the older generation. And we want this toolkit to serve as an instrument, another instrument for us to rise to the challenge of making gender parity a reality, a living principle, not just a distant goal. And so I'm proud to see that there are many examples in this toolkit coming from the IPU, and I want to pay tribute to you, members of the forum, at a time when you are celebrating your 40th anniversary, and you have been at the forefront of progress You've led progress in the IPU when it comes to gender equality, and I would like to pay that tribute to you. We started in the early days, some in the 1980s. That is when we started with very timid steps to establish quotas in the IPU, and we started with the executive committee of the IPU. And since then, on at least 3 occasions, we have been able to revisit these quotas and create new ones. Today, we have also adopted a firm stance against harassment. And in that regard, I'm very pleased to wear my anti-harassment pin. I encourage every member to have this pin that my colleagues in the gender program have produced to say that we stand firmly against harassment. We stand firmly to promote the IPU and any assemblies for that matter as a safe space where men and women can work without any coercion, without any violence, or without any harassment. So we also are very proud that gender parity is now being embedded, has been embedded in the statutes and rules of these organizations. And as you know, delegations that come with gender equal composition enjoy special privileges and motivation, whereas those that are single-sex delegations are losing voting rights. So these are steps that we'll continue to build on to, in fact, embed a culture of gender parity within the organization. And I'm very proud that today we can announce that we have nearly 40% of delegates on the IPU assemblies being women. I did, when I joined the International Gender Champions, I did commit that I would use my powers as Secretary General to make sure that IPU assemblies are increasingly representative of women. At the time I talked of 30%, but today we are at 40%. But then, as the legendary Oliver Twist, I am never satisfied. I want 50%, I want parity. And I'm very glad. I am very glad that you join me in this appeal to work for parity. So let me just conclude by saying that this toolkit, I want to convey a message, that this toolkit should not be something that will just go on your shelves to gather dust. I would like for you to be inspired by it. I would like you to inspire others using this toolkit. We want you to use it, we want you to share it, we want you to adapt it to your realities, it being understood that gender equality is not negotiable anymore. And so I commend the toolkit to your use. Thank you very much, and thank you, Amanda, thank you, Kathleen, for being here, for driving the process, and we hope that we can continue to do the good work that we've done in order to promote representation, empowerment of women in different deliberative bodies across the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary General, for such insightful remarks. Ms. Kraft-Bushman, I now turn to you, and I am pleased to give you the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam President of the Bureau of Women Parliamentarians, and very, very honored Secretary General of the IPU, and also chair of our International Gender Champions. So very, very, and Mariana Duarte, who worked so hard, is actually a co-author of this incredible book, and we are very, very happy to be able to sit next to her on this stage today because she's worked so hard and she's driven all of this forward, as I'm sure all of you know in your own work with her. So we first developed the Gender Responsive Assemblies Toolkit in 2018, actually, and we launched it on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. But then we decided, it came from a simple need. Assemblies and organizations wanted to make participation inclusive, but they lacked a very clear roadmap. People want to do the right thing, but how? And over time, since 2018 and the launch, we've seen what works, what doesn't, what actually drives change. And that learning is what shaped this second edition at a time it's very much needed in our parliaments and organizations around the world. And this version is a collective effort, as you've heard, between the International Gender Champions in partnership with IPU, and it is very much informed by the experience of the international organizations that are part of the International Gender Champions. It also draws a lot of inspiration and aligns with CEDAW's General Recommendation 40, which, as you know, makes parity in decision-making a matter of rights, not preference. And this toolkit actually is a great way to operationalize this general recommendation throughout all of our organizations. So what's inside it is really living institutional practice, and the lessons that are of organizations that are already doing these things. Because we had thought when we originally wrote it, it would make more sense to be able to follow people who had already clear whatever legal hurdles they thought were before them, or institutional hurdles. So some examples of that are the UNFCCC has integrated gender balance requirements into its governing body, which is supported by their Gender Action Plan, which keeps the accountability visible. The WMO, meteorological organization, holds an annual Gender Day and has an advisory panel of experts on gender mainstreaming, which sits under their executive council, which oversees the implementation of their gender equality policy and action plan. The ITU established a dedicated gender and youth office and a network of women that supports mentoring and leadership development across its really pretty vast membership globally. At the ILO, the Director General's letters to member governments ahead of the International Labor Conference show leadership from the top. It reminds delegations of their responsibility to send gender-balanced teams, and of course IPU, whose statutes, rules, and gender mainstreaming mechanisms, including parity targets and sanctions for single-sex delegations, show how structural change can shift an institutional culture. So none of these mechanisms happened by accident. They happened because leaders decided that waiting wasn't an option, and each example started with one decision of a leader somewhere to move from aspiration to action. So these aren't abstract examples. They're the kind of mechanisms that have changed how organizations prepare, deliberate, and decide, and they prove that parity can be within reach when it's built through rules and accountability systems. Also, I would mention that we can use data and now machine learning and AI to sort of drive this forward a little bit, to look at not only who is in the room and on the dais, but who is speaking about what and with what kind of influence that they have about real decision making. And so we're doing some pilots on that, and anybody that's interested, we'd love to talk to you about how to implement that in your parliament or pilot it. The toolkit and all of this work turn all of these lessons into a simple cycle, which is really 3 parts. Just before, plan for parity. During it, and the toolkit is actually broken down into all of these pieces. During, you should model equality and who participates and who decides, and then afterwards to evaluate, to share the data, as I've just explained, and all of that strengthens the system. So I ask you just to use the toolkit starting tomorrow. Pick just 3 actions from it and implement them before your next assembly, because when equality becomes the operating system of assemblies, we don't just change who's in the room, but also what's possible, and also we change leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Kraft-Buchman. We are grateful for your leadership and for bringing this resource to our forum today. Now let's take a photo. room for everybody. Thank you. It was Germany, right? That's Germany now.
So Germany.
So let's go back to our debate. Germany, and followed by Bhutan.
Thank you so much, dear colleagues. I was just recently elected to the German parliament, and I want to tell you about a situation that I had in parliament. We had a debate going on how to tackle the phenomenon of catcalling. And when I gave my speech as a criminal lawyer, men from a different political group were laughing at me. And this was highly disrespectful, but it also showed me three things that I want to share with you now. First is we need acknowledgement that the culture in parliament was built by men. And we need acknowledgement that this culture is a result of patriarchal structures. And if we want to change this, we need nothing less than a system change. And the system change will not come by itself, but we as women leaders need to be the change that we want to see, because we have a great responsibility to break gender stereotypes and to use our parliamentary toolbox of laws and quotas. And as my dear colleague Claudia told you already, that we in our party had a great experiences with quotas to support women in parliament. And third, we can never be silenced. And this is so much easier not to be silenced if you have great colleagues that got your back. And I can only emphasize on what Claudia said earlier. She has been a great role model for young women and young parliamentarians in Germany, especially for me, but I know also my other female colleagues. So maybe one day also the younger MPs here in the room will be role models just like the ones we've seen today. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. Bhutan, followed by Burundi Republic.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Esteemed speakers and delegates, warm greetings from Bhutan. My name is Kezangchuki Dorji. Only 4% of our parliamentarians in Bhutan are women, yet women make up half of Bhutan's voting population. This imbalance is stark, but not immovable. The Inter-parliamentary Union has been a vital ally in our journey. You track our progress, support our capacity building, raise awareness, promote gender equality, and offer a global platform for us to share our stories. For this, we are truly grateful, but we know much more needs to be done. Madam Chairperson, I'm not an elected member. I was appointed by His Majesty the King and have had the honor of serving in Bhutan's National Council and have long been a passionate advocate for increasing women's representation in leadership roles. This year, Bhutan marks a profound milestone, the 70th birth anniversary of our beloved 4th Drukgyalpo, His Majesty King Jigme Singye Wanchuk, a visionary leader who redefined development globally through gross national happiness, advanced access to free education and health, and most importantly, sowed the seeds of democracy with unwavering trust in the people. It is under the enlightened leadership of our kings, His Majesty the 4th Drukgyalpo and His Majesty the 5th Drukgyalpo, that we Bhutanese women have steadily advanced in diverse fields of national development. Tens of thousands of Bhutanese women and girls owe our progress to their Majesties' far-sighted leadership, which has always embraced the principle that gender equality is not an aspiration, it is a responsibility. Yet 17 years into our democratic journey, our political parties and institutions still fall short of reflecting this ethos. There is no shortage of capable women, only a shortage of space, opportunity, and support for them to lead. As the IPU Women in Parliament 1995 to 2025 report shows, Bhutan currently sits at an all-time low. This is not a place where we are proud to be. In Bhutan, we stand at a critical juncture with our next parliamentary elections in 28 and 29, we are committed to reach 30% women's representation by 2030, 30 by 30. Ambitious, given our current position, but achievable. We also plan to use the Gender Responsive Assemblies Toolkit as an important reference.
Thank you, Bhutan.
And finally, just last, and finally, we humbly request the IPU to consider bringing the Global Conference of Women Parliamentarians to Bhutan in 2027. It would be a powerful symbol in solidarity and a celebration of the inclusive values we all aspire to uphold. Thank you, and Tashidele.
Burundi, followed by Canada.
Merci de m'accorder la parole, Madame la Présidente. Je voudrais parler un peu du Burundi. Le Burundi, au Burundi, vraiment, il y a beaucoup de avancées en ce qui concerne l'égalité de genre. Cela est dû aux efforts des femmes qui travaillent d'arrache-pied pour la transformation des communautés en ce qui concerne le développement économique. Ce n'est pas pour rien qu'il y a eu beaucoup de changements. Par exemple, moi, j'ai été la première dame gradée qui a eu le grade de général. Et comme ça, on a vu que les femmes sont capables et les autres ont pu être sûres qu'elles sont considérées. Maintenant, à l'Assemblée nationale, on a 39,63% et au Sénat, avant la cooptation, on avait 50% femmes et 50% hommes. C'est avec la cooptation que les chiffres ont changé et maintenant nous sommes à 46,1% des femmes au Sénat. Donc, c'est ce que je peux dire. Il faut que les femmes qui ont déjà occupé les postes de prise de décision prêchent pour exemple. Puis, il faut qu'il y ait la volonté politique. Sinon, on ne peut pas mettre en action cet outil qu'on vient d'avoir. Donc, il faut aussi briser les barrières culturelles dans certains pays pour que les femmes soient considérées et que soient à la hauteur d'occuper les postes qu'on leur propose. Je vous remercie.
Merci, Burundi. Canada, followed by New Zealand.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know it is late in the day, but my name is Ikra Khalid. I am the Member of Parliament, very proud and privileged in Canada, in Mississauga, Erin Mills. I am a young brown Muslim woman who has had the privilege of celebrating. Today's my 10th anniversary of being elected as a Member of Parliament in Canada. You know, I just want to give a massive shout out to our panelists who spoke so eloquently and inspired all of us so much today. Thank you for your life stories, because that is really, I think, why we're here today, and to hear all of the interventions amongst all the MPs that have provided their life stories today. Thank you so much. I know we only have a very small amount of time, so I'll get right to the point. I think one of the main themes that I've heard today amongst all women MPs, my own life experience included, is violence against women online. And I think that we have an opportunity, not only in our legislatures individually within our countries, but also here at the IPU, to work on misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, and how women are treated online. There have been many studies that have been conducted in Canada that show that women take a massive proportion of the online abuse, and it is directed to not just parliamentarians who are women, but also women professionals, journalists, etc. I think as all of us, as we're convening here together, we have an opportunity using an emergency item possibility to really raise this issue, come together and see how we can collaborate, how we can work together to find possible solutions, concrete solutions. When we talk about adding more women into politics, we can't add more women until we provide a safe space for them to participate. And I think it is an emergency item that we can work with. I do believe that Poland is currently drafting an emergency item similar to this issue. And I encourage all of you to please pay attention to what is being proposed. This is an opportunity for us to take concrete steps to ensure that women are safe in all of their respective fields, including in politics. And I hope to work together with all of you to ensure the safety and the growth of women within representation across all of the IPU. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Canada. New Zealand, followed by Suriname.
Kia ora. Thank you to the Madam Chairperson. And I'm Rachel Brooking, and I am the Member of Parliament in Dunedin, which is the city where Amanda Ellis is from. So it's great to be speaking today. And I want to just really make one main point, and that is that a number of our political parties in Aotearoa, New Zealand, have made the very considered choice to make sure that half of their politicians that will get elected are women. So we have a mixed member proportional representation, we have list members and electorate members, and so you can do your best guess about how much you're going to win based on the polling, and then make sure that women will make up half of those who are elected. So in our last term of government, we had over 50% of the parliamentarians were women, and half of the executive were women. We had a change in government, and this is now not the case. But my main point here, it's not an accident. As a result in these changes, we've had some regressive legislation around pay equity for women, which is a great shame. Finally, I just want to remark that we've had 3 female prime ministers, and they've been Jenny Shipley, Helen Clark, who now runs a foundation, and she's a member of the Elders, and give her a follow on social media if you're interested in these issues. And also Jacinda Ardern. She has a book out at the moment, and also a movie that talks a lot about the pressures that women have in these very high-profile positions. So I'd recommend you all watch and read those. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Suriname, followed by Serbia. 2 minutes, please. Suriname.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. My name is Genevieve Jordan, and I'm a member of Parliament of Suriname. Currently serving my 2nd term, I serve on the committees for social affairs, housing, and foreign affairs, and international relations. In July 2025, my country made history. For the very first time, Suriname has a female president. This is a remarkable milestone for us, and a true symbol of progress for women in leadership and politics. But with this progress also comes painful reality. As women in politics, we continue to face an increasing wave of personal and gender-based attacks, especially on social media. These attacks are often not about our work or our ideas. They are about who we are as women. They aim to silence us, to question our integrity, and to damage our credibility. Our families and sometimes even our children become victims of these online assaults. False accusation, manipulated image, and hateful comments can spread quickly, causing real emotional harm. So my question to this forum is, what concrete action or strategies have been taken by your organization or networks to protect women in politics from these constant online attacks? How do you work to hold social media platforms accountable and to create safer digital space for women leaders? And finally, what advice would you give to women, especially in smaller democracies like Suriname, on how to stay strong, focused, and resilient in the face of this continuous online hostility? Because while the voices of hate may be loud, our commitment to serve our people and to lead with integrity must always be louder. Women in politics are not asking for permission to lead. We are already leading. Our presence is not symbolic, it's essential.
Thank you. Time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now Serbia, followed by Maldives.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will briefly point out that I truly believe we have had significant improvement regarding women in all areas of life being participating and being involved. We have much more to do, of course, but I seriously think that we had significant improvements. I'm glad to say that in Serbia, in the moment when our parliament was established, we had 40% of women parliamentarians working in the parliament. We also currently have 9 women ministers. We had even more in the previous government, and I have to point out that we had our first prime minister, women prime minister, several years ago. She had 2 mandates consecutive, and now she's the head of our parliament. She's the main speaker, president of our parliament. Also, what I want to point out as our recent achievement regarding gender equality is that we established a ministry for gender equality, which had already many significant projects. On the head of this ministry is an amazing woman with her team. They raised so many significant subjects when it comes to involvement women in all areas of life, including politics and economy and empowerment of women to enter the politics. They just recently had their first conference called RISE. The main subject of this conference was to empower women to enter politics and engage in business and establish themselves as individuals, professionals. I will also say that all of this you will be able to see when you visit us next year in June 2026, considering that we will be hosting our, with IPU, Women Parliamentarian Conference. So we are waiting for you in Serbia and Belgrade in 2026 in June. Regarding these subjects, I will just touch briefly. I don't have a lot of time. I think one of the questions that we now do not raise enough is the fact that we really have to think about women empowering other women. We need to think about many programs where women can see what leadership means, to have a lot of more cooperation between women. We need to understand that we are not in competition with each other, we are in collaboration with each other. And I will finish only with this thought. All of the women that are here today, we are not standing on the ground, we are standing on the shoulders of the women who were here before us and gave us these positions and these paths.
Thank you, Serbia, and thank you for hosting the next conference, Women Conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now Maldives, followed by PMNCH.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Chairperson and IPU for organizing this and coming up with this important and crucial topic. I am Anara Naim, member of Maldivian Parliament. I come to you from the Maldives, a small island nation in the Indian Ocean. I am one of just 3 women in a 93-member legislature who are all elected members. In the political sphere, women are more in the grassroots level. However, the number decreases as we go high up the ladder. The reasons are not only specific to Maldives, but across the globe. women parliamentarians continue to face organized disinformation campaigns, deep fake images, hate speech, online harassment. These forms of abuse do not merely silence voices, they reshape political discourse, discouraging women from entering or staying in politics. The current government has already recognized the critical condition of gender parity in the political arena in Maldives and is taking significant steps to tackle them. Women's role is very important in the parliament because we are half of the total population in the Maldives. It is very important to increase this number, and we 3 women MPs advocate for this every single day. Our parliament has been conducting a special program called the Practice Parliament for Women. This program is aimed to foster a deeper understanding of democratic process and empower women with the skills and confidence to participate actively in public life. I humbly ask for your support to come up with a mechanism to help women who enter politics and retain. In my opinion, programs such as twinning or pairing women MPs across IPU will be very effective. Together, let us make a stronger, louder, and more effective voice for women parliamentarians everywhere. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Maldives. Now, PMNCH.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairperson, for this opportunity for the Partnership for Maternal, Newborn and Child Health to take the floor very briefly on the theme of transformative leadership in a more equal world. We at the Partnership, led by our strong feminist chair, Ms. Ellen Clark, former Prime Minister of New Zealand, we strongly believe that women leadership has a positive impact on health. In fact, it's not just our belief. The data tell us. Research has shown that countries that were led by women, when pandemic of COVID-19 struck, they got 40% less deaths than countries that were led by men. Also, research shown that women in leadership in the health sector, they actually have better policy with regard to reproductive health and rights, with regard to maternal and child policy care. And yet, Madam Chairperson and dear colleagues here in the audience, the global health sector is underwhelming and continuously male-led and male-dominated. Women represent 80% of the service delivery, but they do not lead the health sector, they do not lead the global health institution. So our plea to you all here in this audience, distinguished in your capacity, in your ability to influence, is identify and coach and create women leadership in the health sector, because we know that will have tremendous benefit for other women in society, for other children, and for adolescents. And together with other groups, we are also campaigning for having yet the first time ever that the the Secretary of the United Nations will be a woman. And we call that the campaign Madam Secretary General. I appeal to you, to your help for making that happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for your valuable inputs. A big thanks to our panelists. And now I give the floor to the second Vice President of the Bureau of Women Parliamentarians. Thank you all.
15 minutes.
Thank you. Nice seeing you all. See you tomorrow.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 5 minutes I need, please. Thank you so much. Dear colleagues, let us now hear the report of the discussing on the draft resolution. Join me on the invite Mr. Van Danyan, rapporteur of this morning debate, to join me on the podium. Thank you. Yeah. Welcome again, Mrs. Vardanyan. You have the floor.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, I am pleased to report on our debate
process with the election of Claydon, Australia. Okay. Now, colleagues, to Ms. Claydon, I look congratulations to Ms. Claydon. I look forward to working with you in the Bureau of Women Parliamentaries. And 8. When you end date of the 41 season of the Forum of Women Parliamentaries, colleagues, we are coming close to the end of this season of our forum. I would like to remind you that the next season of the Forum of Women Parliamentaries will take place during the upcoming and 1052 Assembly in the Istanbul, Turkey in April 2026. I invite you to Turkey for the assembly. Thank you. Okay. I need work speaking English. I need. Dear colleagues, our task is complete for today. I wish to thank you for your hard work and participation in this 14th season of the Forum of Women Parliamentaries. It has been a great pleasure for me to chair it. I wish you all a fruitful 151 IPU Assembly here in Geneva. I declare in the 14th season of the Forum of Women Parliamentaries adjourned. Have a nice night. Take care. Bye.